guy, and then nothing ever changed that he wasn't a run stopper. But I know we're going to be able to do that with him. But nowadays, the way football is that, hey, you got to cover people. You got to move around a little bit. So, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, the whole Spillane situation went, and some people, I think some people fail to forget this. When Spillane first came over here, he was not good at coverage. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That was one of his downfalls. That some of us were like, hey, this guy can hit, this guy can stop the run, but be careful because he's not good at coverage. And he grew into that. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta give props to the people that were responsible for that. Antonio Pierce was our linebacking coach, and obviously he was working with Spillane on that. You know what I'm saying? So he grew to that. So with the Landon Roberts, he has that same situation where I can trust him stopping the run, but coverage is gonna be an issue. So hopefully. And this is kind of what I've been seeing in the totality of the team. Hopefully this coaching staff can add that, that coverage package to a Landon, and then he could eventually be the Spillane of, of old for us. I hated that we got rid of Spillane. I thought that was, I'm the component of cheap labor. You guys know I like to use rookie contracts and drafting guys and building guys through the draft. But I thought we really actually finally had somebody in the middle of our defense of Spillane, and we're still, as long as I can remember, how long have we had as an organization not a solidified main, dude in the middle of our defense?
Yeah.
When's the last time we had a middle linebacker or at least a coverage linebacker back there that's been on the team for a minute and has been holding it down? It hasn't been. So I hope we change that in the future, because I'm tired of. To be honest with you, even with the guys that we brought in, I'm tired of paying for linebackers to come in.
Okay. Well, we grabbed two of them as far as, signing. We got rid of Bernie. We got rid of Brandon Smith. I don't even really know who that was, but
he was a special teams guy.
Special teams guy. That's what I said earlier. I said that, but Amari Bernie, I didn't even see him on special teams. So he was not productive. I want to note that. I know he was upset. He got happy with it. He probably smiled right back at you. I know you and Mike got a good relationship going right there. I don't want to mess that up.
I'm over here blushing.
Hey, man,
blushing.
He got a good relationship for years on that right there. You guys even had a fight.
We go back, man. We go back.
You guys got a good relationship there, bro. It's a long-standing relationship.
For sure.
But I think I respect the Amari Bernie release, because I was on that tip. And these two new guys, Jalen Smith, productive with Dallas, moved around the league for a minute, didn't play last year.
Yeah.
I think maybe he was unsuccessful, with probably got a bad injury when he was coming out of college. That's why he fell. So, he was a pick, high pick, but with that injury, then produced in Dallas, but probably just maybe fell in love with football again. Maybe one of those instances, and now we get that type guy that fell in love with football again. That's the guy I want. What I was saying too, Twuan, it was that I see the emphasis on linebackers, as we've been saying, is not a priority for this team, and we're gonna just roll with who we got. They're not gonna spend outlandish money on the position. And what Pete Carroll's mantra is go heavy up front and be good in the secondary. And really, the linebackers will figure that out. You know what I mean? You get a smart guy as your green dot, the linebackers will figure that out, and then the quarterback or the running back won't have enough space enough, gap to get there because the defensive line would be so into the face of that transaction of the mesh that we ain't gonna need a linebacker. Linebackers just gonna have the extra hit or the extra, you know, sideline or whatever behind the line of scrimmage. So that's what I think his vision is in his defense. What do you think about that?
I mean, right now it's really too early to, there were so many holes realistically on this team that you can't really address that all in one, all in one off season. He's trying to flood the places where he thinks that he can kind of get away with for a season, until he gets into, and I think that's the thing with Jalen Smith. I think with Jalen, one of the things is in its totality and its seriousness, Jalen Smith is a talented linebacker. The issue with Jalen Smith is that he has had injuries, throughout his career, trying to stay afloat in the NFL. So they're trying to throw a flyer out on him. That's why they brought him in. It's like, hey, if you can stay healthy and you can get your job done, you can prove to everybody that you can still belong in this league. And that's the same thing they're doing with the other linebacker, White. White's in the same situation. He's kind of an older linebacker. He does have a name to himself, but he still has to prove himself. So they're bringing, especially linebackers. That's what I'm seeing. They're bringing in guys that they had a name, but now they're trying to prove themselves. And with Amari Burney, unfortunately, look, you had opportunities, and you never really did
shine, bro.
I was, and to be honest with you, I was like, please get Divine, because I'm not a Divine Diablo fan. I never really liked Divine Diablo.
Yeah, me neither.
You know what I'm saying? Just because of I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I just didn't like, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, please let somebody come in and get next to Spillane and we can get this going. And I thought Bernie, I was hopeful like Gabe. You know what I'm saying? I was hopeful like Gabe that, Bernie would pan out, but I guess his time is up.
I know Gabe's working, and he was a big Amari Burney fan. He was really happy, pumped him up. I know that Gabe was a linebacker in school, and I know how those guys roll, and I know their thoughts, and he thinks like a linebacker would, as far as football is concerned. But if you're gonna, and Gabe's with me, he had the opportunity, when Diablo was injured, and it looked like he was the next guy. Bernie was the next guy in there.
Yeah.
And he didn't do absolutely nothing. They ran the ball on us up the middle so many times, and that was his responsibility, And I don't understand why he didn't take that over. But he was, he had the size. And the thing is that his coverage skills, which he was brought in to do, Bernie could cover, then he got waxed several games when he was in there. So then he got taken right back out for Gaynor, and Gaynor did a decent job. That's why Gaynor's not cut yet, I think.
No.
Go ahead.
I'm looking for Gaynor to take a jump this year, to be honest with you.
And we also got rid of your main guy, man, Matthew Butler, bro. Matthew Butler is not a Raider no more. You didn't really see a lot of Matthew Butler anyways. So that's another guy. Wiping the slate clean with all these past gruesome, bad picks that we got. And we're getting some new, young, fast, big, super big guys, that I love, that we're going back to as far as fast, big, strong type guys that Pete Carroll never lost. And I'm glad that Spytek is looking at this, because I see it in a different way. I see like Spytek, was sitting here looking at Devin White the whole time. He said, that's my guy. You know what I mean? That's the guy I want. And I think an Landon Roberts type guy was specifically a Pete Carroll type guy. Pete Carroll loves these hard-nosed guys, get in your face, gonna fuck you up, gonna bounce you when you get to the line of scrimmage, and that's his type guy. And we had a problem on third downs. Jack Kidder just said it. Jack Kidder just read my mind right now. And he just said that on third down we're gonna pop some people on third down behind the line of scrimmage. Divine Diablo was a master at tackling people when they already got 5 yards already behind the back or behind on his feet. You know, so we can't have that. The dude gained 5 yards already. We got to get a guy like a Landon Roberts, like a Chin, like I understand why they got these people, but we were happy in the beginning when these guys were signed. I'm gonna adapt Twuan to love these guys and to root for them. I'm gonna adapt to that. But when I was questioning, I wanted better, bro. Then I started figuring out what they were doing like I am now. I don't take back what I said. I thought I was right. And then a lot of people agreed with me. Lateral moves is the same thing. I wanted us to be better. The same thing, Twuan, was foreign something.
Right.
You know what I mean? We won 4 games, then win a game in our division with that who we lost, and we were happy that we just got the same stuff. I said, I want better. Let's go. We got a shitload of money. Let's get better. But now I understand what he was doing. He's gonna get a lot of guys that he feels can do it, and these guys they're tough. They got backgrounds of being tough, and that matters. That philosophy matters in football. You can have a guy that's not as talented beat a guy that's just there. His hard work is going to beat talent. It's known that talent beats hard. Hard work beats talent. Talent don't work hard, bro. It's been a saying in football forever. And that's something that if you coach football, you're going to say these little kids or these grown kids are going to say, you can be talented, but if you work hard, you're going to beat that talented guy because he's not working as hard as you. And then I think he's getting guys that work freaking hard, that have the mindset, I'm a damn good football player, and I'm going to beat these guys out. That's the type of guys he's getting, and I see that now. So I'm adapting to what he's doing. And that's what I appreciate. I appreciate that. I'm going to have a massively overhaul on our defense. And the pressure, and what I keep saying to him is that I listen to a bunch of shows, bro. I listen to Kansas City Chiefs. I don't mess with them like their fans do on our shows when they get in there and talk shit on the radio. I don't do that. I don't go in there and make my name known or whatever, because I don't know how to change my name, and I don't have a bunch of accounts and shit. I'm not like that. I ain't no little kid and shit. I don't live in no basement, my mama's basement. I'm on my own, bro, and you know that. So I'm not gonna be no little sissy like that. But I listen to these guys, and these guys are worried about our front, our defensive front. These guys on these shows, hey man, them Raiders got themselves a pretty good front up there with this Kuntz and Max Crosby is what he is, and then they got this, they got Adam Butler, and they got Wilkins. He's coming back. Hey, they're worried about that. They're worried about their quarterbacks because the front we're going to have. And then the backups going in. They ain't talking about Wilson. He's a tank. I don't know where you see that shit from, but hey, maybe he can do something this year. And his fourth year and third year or something like that. I don't know.
This is actually his fourth year, but for those that factor in his injury, they consider this his third year. But we'll see. Again, for Tyree, and not trying to make this a Tyree live. This is his, and I'm on the Tyree. Let's go Tyree. Tyree. This is his year to show something. You know what I'm saying? Whether he he can fall into the big bag, or he can fall into, hey, we're gonna keep you, but we're gonna keep you as a rotational and pay you as a rotational. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Spy Tech is gonna have to decide. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I understand that Tyree is our number one. You know what I'm saying? He was our number 1 round pick, and some people are like, get rid of him, he's a bum or whatever. But if he comes out and shows that he can be that solid rotational depth guy, why not pay him as such? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Why not say, hey, Spy Tech, if you was a number 1, you know what I'm saying, if you was like a bona fide number 1, of course we're gonna have to give you this 20 mil, but since you didn't get up to that, we're gonna throw this 7 at you.
You know
what I'm saying? Because no matter what, we're still gonna need, you know what I'm saying, after our 2 Max Crosby, let's just say Max Crosby and Coons come back, right? And they're our bookends, right? You're gonna need somebody behind that. And if Tyree can be that for us, hey, you know, I'm not mad at it.
I'm not gonna he's been moved to defensive tackle.
True.
That's a fact. So he's drafted as a defensive end, and he couldn't do that. And I'm not gonna give I just from the get, bro. I questioned we picked a hurt player, and it was just typical bad decision Raider shit.
Yeah,
and that just makes that organization worse. And we know the results of that organization. We know the results of that regime that came. It was all BS.
And it's still coming out, Gravy. So there's BS still coming out on those fools.
Yeah, and then I feel bad for Tyree, and that's the only reason I've said it before that we picked a hurt player. We gave him that grace. So, but the Raider Nation think that it's okay that we picked a hurt player and then he's going to be productive and all that. I ain't got time for that, Twuan. You're number 1. You play, you start, you get at it. Why pick a hurt player and make him wait? Oh, you know, Chandler Jones is going to babysit this guy or something. You know what I mean? I don't need that. I don't need a first-round pick that high needs to get babysitted or what? Oh, I understand. I'm a coach. You see a guy like that standing in front of you, you gotta, I gotta pick this guy or someone else will. I understand that they don't make dudes like that, Twuan. They don't make guys like that, you know, around football. He's blessed with the size and all that, but he don't have no fucking speed. Doesn't have no get off. Doesn't have no moves. But we see that again. Keep him around to do something. You know what I mean? But I understand keeping him around, but he's gonna take a massive pay cut. You know. Yeah. After that, because he might get pissed off and said, "I'm worth this," but show me something. But he showed me something. He showed a little bit when he got in there, okay? But he was in there we over expected it from what he did. I expected more. Even what he did, his little shining or whatever, I expect more from him. For he got picked so high, and the grace of the injury, the grace of that injury is done with now.
Yeah,
it's done.
It is. It's all on him, you know what I'm saying? And that's why, you know, that's why I've been putting it out there like that, because some people are just so, you know, it's clear cut with some people. It's either keep him or just get rid of the bum. He's a bust, right? And in this organization, and even in NFL, they have when that contract comes up, that GM has the option to say, hey, you're not worth the 20 mil, but I'll give you this 5. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to take this 5, we'll gladly have you be our you know what I'm saying, our rotational guy, because that's how we value you. But you're not, you know what I'm saying, based on your play, you're not the bookend of Max Crosby. You know what I'm saying? You're not on the opposite side of Max Crosby for us. You know, and that was the same thing with, you know, with Cleveland Farrell. Everybody wants to, you know, throw Cleveland Farrell in there. That was the same thing with him. Another team said, hey, there's talent there, but we're going to value you here instead of where you thought you were going to be. And he took it, and, you know, he's still got an NFL jersey. So, you know what I'm saying? He's doing something for another team. So that's where Tyree's at.
Well, I seen something that popped up on my phone from a guy that I don't really trust, or he talks a lot of shit, but he more than me, way more than me. But I'm just thinking and logical, and people know sometimes I'm crazy, but it's constant. But he's not playing. He's not doing very well in the OTAs. He's doing the same stuff. His get off is slow, you know. I respect the footballism of this content creator, but I don't respect what his views. And, you know, he's always been a basher of Tyree Wilson, like I am. But the expectation of him blossoming has always been there for me. It's always been that this dude is so gifted on on blessed with size and all this, but he just wasn't blessed with the get off and to play a defensive tackle. We have to move the guy. We have to move the guy to defensive tackle. In football terms, we call that a dummy move. We call it you can't play defensive end where we drafted you and we thought you would dominate. We have to bring you down to defensive tackle. You're not that big, but you have these long ass arms where you're gonna push guards and tackles out the way. And then, we just see him with one move, and he hasn't learned any moves. You don't hear, people say, "Oh, Tyree Wilson's in the weight room with me anymore." You don't hear that. Used to be, but when it's 4:00 in the morning and he's not there, you understand his type attitude and stuff. Max Crosby was saying, "Hey, he was with me for the first 3 months," and then Max Crosby said, "Tyree ain't with me no more." You say that about your teammate? He's tired of that shit too.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just lazy.
Hey, as big as Tyree is, I don't know how much more muscle he can put on his body. I think
you've seen the pictures.
I need to work
on the pictures of the dude.
I need to do some yoga or something. Or
you've seen the pictures of the guy, next to Max, and he was bigger than freaking Wilkins.
Yeah,
and Wilkins is legit 300-pound tackle, and this guy's like this, wider, bigger than both of these guys. So it's like, what's wrong, man?
Yeah.
What's going on? You just got to get crazy. Maybe I hope he has a good year this year. I hope he gets productive and does things. I'm rooting for the kid.
Patrick Graham did use him, and again, this is where you kind of talk about, maybe possibly keeping Tyree as a rotational person
what's up?
If he pans out. Salute to everybody in the chat. Patrick Graham used him on third down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And used him as and one of the things that stuck out to me, Patrick Graham said is, I don't care who it is, I'm putting my best 4 out there on third down. And Tyree was out there. So obviously he trusts Tyree pass rush wise, on third down to either, set up somebody or, have some type of disruption up front. So we'll see how that fully pans out for him, because again, if it might just be that's Tyree's role. Tyree might be that, third down, second and 20, when they're going to throw the ball, type of player. And that might be it for him.
I see that. But if you say that,
yeah,
Twuan, and mind you, we were bottom 3 in third down efficiency last year as far as the defense is concerned. So
that too.
If that's the answer to Patrick Graham, then we need to get more defensive tackles out there. To probably we did. We got that Tonka kid. We got that Pigoose kid.
I like him.
That's big. That's big. Tonka is a little light in the ass for me. Being 285 pounds, but he does stuff special to where he got a long ass. Him and Dorian, the corner kid. I seen a something from him from his college, and I really looked at that because I love DBs. If I was anything but a running back coach, Twuan, if I was fascinated the way DBs work and how much it takes to be a solid, good. You have to be special. DBs have to have gifted type things, God-given things to them that you can't teach. That's why DBs can play both ways. That's why you see that Champ Bailey, Charles Woodson, the kid that just Hunter that just went to the Jacksonville. Great DB. They're working him at wide receiver, and we could get on that too. They're working him at wide receiver. I see him doing routes and all that precise, good routes that he's doing. Guys like that, where they get the DB factor, you can't teach hip movement, reaction, or speed, catch-up speed, or things like that. You can't do that. If you run a 4.5 as a corner, they don't want you. You can, but you're a physical guy or the type of defense you run. But mostly the guys that run 4.3s, 4.2s, 4.4s even, with good hips, good footwork, and all this, and smart smart. It is gifted. You know, you can learn football, but if you have it, it's gonna put you at one of the most positions where you can be disappointed so much, but figuring out and getting rid of that play is gonna be is the best gift that you can have. Forgetting about that last play and going back to another is a gift that you have. You know what I mean? You get taught that, but if you have it already, you're gonna play. You're gonna play in the NFL. It's hard to do. That's why I'm fascinated with DBs.
Outside of the first 2 rounds, and this is what I saw on Gravy talked about it with the corner. Mm-hmm. Outside of the first 2 rounds, we know that we got Ashton Jeanty and Jack Best. Those guys are rip out the plastic. They're ready to go. They're I'll say it right now. They're immediate starters. I that's how I feel about Jack Best. But outside of that, when you get down to the 3rd round and pass, what I saw from what they drafted is they drafted guys and players that have something that coaches can't coach. Yeah. You got, you know what I'm saying? Dorian, tall, fast. You know what I'm saying? Can't coach that. Now, and I'll say this, along with that, a lot of those guys are raw. You know what I'm saying? Dorian's not the complete product yet. You know what I'm saying? Dante Thornton, tall, fast, wide receiver, right? 6'5". You know what I'm saying? Has the jump ball ability. But you know what? His route tree ain't all the way there. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of guys in that back end that even Tonka, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's small, but if you see how he gets off the line, you know what I'm saying? The speed that he gets off of the line, you can't coach that. You know what I'm saying?
You got to teach your body, bro. This dude, they said, I was reiterating that. I reiterated what you said. They said this dude looks weird, bro. They said he's from another planet because his arms is like almost 7 feet, 8 basketball shit. You know what I mean? It looks weird. Like, he's standing there. You look at the dude and his arms are longer down to his thighs. That's massive for a defensive tackle. For a defensive tackle to have that, because it's just like, the guards, they want long arms as guards now because a lot of the people run zone and they got to move. So they got to keep that space. So you go get them out the way and make that hole for the running backs. So you can take a step and go. But nowadays you got to have that. And then a guy that has it naturally instead of, working with them to do it, that's less coaching, more gifted, more God blessed gifted, less coaching you have to do with a guy like that. But it's to the point that I expect these 1st, 2nd, 3rd round guys. I'm even going to the 3rd round, bro. And that you got to make an impact on your team. 1st round, you got to do that. That's why I'm so not with Tyree Wilson. But I expect Ashton Jeanty to get a lot of work. He has to. He has to get a lot of work. Because again, Detroit guy. That's probably one of your guys. Welcome to the club, Detroit guy. I hope you like the game. That was me and Twuan. It's been always wonderful to have my boy with me talking football, man. We could talk it for days. We don't have a lot of time, but we're gonna be here for a minute talking about what we got. We haven't even got down the list yet. But Detroit guy, welcome to the club, man. It's up to me, Coach Gravy. It's up to Twuan at Raider Twuan. Top the Raider game, Raider Nation live, all in full effect for today, man. We're gonna get at it. We're gonna get at it real good. What's up to Jack Canna, Raider Pete? What's up? I'm just gonna be keep saying what's up to everybody. J.E., what's up, man? We targeting Trey Hendrickson. That's the kid from Cincinnati, right? That's the boy from. Is that the guy from Cincinnati that? They got a bad defense. Yeah. So I think that'd be a great move for them to keep the kid. They let him go, huh? They said go ahead and check it out what you could get.
Hey, do your due diligence. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, if you can, because Trey is a bookend to Max Crosby. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta worry about, you know what I'm saying, and as much as we like Kuntz, this organization ain't committed to Kuntz.
It don't look like it, don't it?
They gave him a 1-year contract. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it's at. There might be a situation where he comes in 1 year and he's gone. So, having that guy, we're still going to be looking for who's going to be that opposite of Max Crosby. And Trey Hendrickson, when he was a free agent, that was one of the guys that I was like, yeah, him and Van Ginkel he was with Miami Dolphins. But yeah, those are guys that, yeah, you get him next to Max Crosby, and it's a problem. Now, it depends on how much money he's going to want, because, again, Trey Hendrickson is in that. I'm not saying he's a Max Crosby, but he's in that room. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's in that bracket of defensive ends. So, do you want to pay that much money again for somebody on the opposite of Max Crosby? That's going to be up to the organization, but it's going to be a pretty penny.
I would expect him to be around there because for that team, he was the factor.
Yeah,
but he was on a very, very bad defense. That was we can say that the Raiders had bad defenses, but that defense for Cincinnati, they lost games because of that defense. And if you have a quarterback like that, and the receiving core that they had, even if you can have a little, their offensive power is so much on the outside, and the quarterback, the best. To me, Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL. Mm-hmm. To me. And if we could get somebody like that, dude, we won't have any problems. We can just work on the defense, and that's what I think we're concentrating. Slowly, quietly, Twuan, we're banging up this defense to be a hell of a good defense. Slowly and quietly, we're doing that with little signings. Like I changed my view a little bit, because I was like, man, we ain't getting nobody on defense. We signed Max. We got Kuntz. It just takes me as a Raider, fan to realize, I'm not with this lateral movement stuff. I want get a better player. I want somebody to top over Spillane already. I want that to have already Spillane stats, and then take over, go over top and be that type guy. I want an all-pro guy, and then. Now I'm thinking, well, maybe this Atlanta Roberts gets a shot, just like we gave Spillane. Patrick Graham is still there, and he made Spillane a very good linebacker. So I trust him to do it all over again. And plus, you got a defensive mind better than AP, 100 million times better than AP, to add to that. Plus coaching, better coaches, better environment. Is gonna asset to these players, and I'm thinking about that now. I'm excited for this defense, bro. I'm excited for the offense too. It's gonna matter. It's gonna matter, bro.
Yeah, I think, and this is a real early prediction of what we're gonna do in next year's draft. I think next year's draft, first round quarterback, second round for me, linebacker. And I think if you go second round linebacker, you will actually get one of the top linebackers in that draft. So I think we need to really address that. I'm tired of paying, like I said, rentals, you know what I'm saying, at our linebacking group. Just imagine if we got a good, linebacker in the draft, and you had him for 4 years under a rookie contract. Where you ain't gotta, you know what I'm saying? He's here at least for 4 years, and then, obviously if he's been here for 4 years, and obviously we're probably gonna talk to him about staying with the team, but we don't have that solidified guy, and that's what I'm really looking for. In regards to, like you said, the guys that you're slowly building this defense, I think you're right. I think we're slowly building this defense, and it's through the draft. Some of these guys that, the Dorians, the JJ Pegues, you know what I'm saying? Those guys on defense, you know what I'm saying? There's some things that they need to work out, but it's almost like a car. You know what I'm saying? The car looks good, but hey, if you put that buffer and polish on it, it makes it even look a whole lot better. And I think that's what it is with some of these guys. Is they're coming in, they're a brand new, they're a clean car because they got washed. But when this coaching staff puts that, puts that polish on them and starts buffing it out, that, yeah, buddy, Get ready.
You start cruising. When you start cruising, you got a little bit more confidence in your step.
Yeah.
When you roll to the side. You drive it like this right now on the street when it's all nice and ugly and shit. But once you take it to the diesel shop, you like this now. You roll it like this.
Yeah.
That's the way. That's the way I feel the same way, Twuan. The slowly part is what I'm concerned with because I don't want to build up. Too slow that we've been doing. Yeah. All we had was Spillane, and we just kept around. I was saying Diablo ain't shit for two years already. He had a good rookie year. That was it. Because he was so fast and so young. But what happened to that guy? He got hurt. But that was the problem. He wasn't there, and he was a safety. And I'm so glad that Pete Carroll doesn't do that. He doesn't do that hybrid safety to linebacker stuff. He's not doing it. We're not getting the safety that could be a linebacker. And I'm glad he's getting linebackers. That's what he's getting. And big linebackers. Jalen, the kid we got, he's 240.
Yeah.
He's 240. And Amari Burney was barely 225. You know what I mean? Some of these running backs you got to go against, bro. We're getting 230, 225. They're fastest. The running backs are getting bigger and faster, and you got to accommodate that with your play. So this is what I think he's doing on defense, bro. You're gonna have two linebackers. You've been playing nickel your whole life, and I don't know. And Pete Carroll's a nickel guy. He runs 4.25 out there.
Yeah.
So, and you're a nickel all the time. Then you go to dime. Dime is rarely played, and you can in passing situations of it. You got a passing team. You're going to go dime, nickel all the time. But your pass rush is always 4. So you're depending on them to set the tone of the defense. And then your linebackers is just recovery and, just get that last hit in there in the pile or stop them, and then the big guys go get them. And you don't give you give the linebackers a chance to roam. And we got a good front. They can roam and decide where they're going to hit you at. That's the smart guys. And that's what these guys are that we're putting in there. Smart guys. Lindenberg was a very, very, everything they said about Lindenberg is that he's smart. He knows the game. He's the leader on that defense in Minnesota. Minnesota wasn't a very good football team, but he shined through that whole team. Lindenberg was the best player on that football team. And so guys like that they say smart, intelligent, knows football. No, those are the type guys that is in the now, not just a physical guy. He's a big kid too. That just adds to it. So maybe he might blossom. Eichenberg wasn't our pick, wasn't this regime's pick, but he needs to hit another chance. He was a lower pick. He deserves that shot. I'm not gonna knock any, late round pick that works his ass off and becomes a starter. I'm not gonna do that to kids like that. They deserve to get developed. But if you're first, second, third round, it's a disappointment if you don't play.
Yeah.
It's a discipline. I'm hard on Bernie because we weren't good really after Spillane with linebackers. So when you got the opportunity, you take control of that. You know what I mean? That's the way I would be, Twuan. I would take control of that situation and ball out, Bernie, and then that's what happens, to you. Or maybe you just wasn't a good fit, or maybe they thought, hey.
They slowly flooded that linebacking room because even when, as we're talking about it, you said Eichenberg and, Amari Gaynor, those are guys that they can take another jump. They were a rookie last year.
Good guys.
It would be great to see a rookie do good his first year, but most of the time rookies, they don't do well until their second or third year. It depending on the opportunity. So we'll see how that pans out for them, moving forward. Again, Bernie was kind of on the back end of that rookie contract, so it was about time for him to go.
I think so too. That's the way I feel. But I'm excited. Right now I think I'm more confident with the guys that we got, and not knowing the guy that we got besides Jalen Smith. But Jalen Smith was a solid for a defense that was very good for Dallas. Yeah. He was very good. Jalen Smith.
Yeah, he was a starter. He was
starting for Dallas, and that's when their defense was tight.
It was him and Blayton Vander Esch when they had a really good linebacking group. Yeah,
if he could be that guy instead of these 3-4 other teams that he played with before us, even he was with us, went to another team, took a year off. Maybe he needed that year to fall in love with football. You got to be in love with football to play linebacker, man. You got to love the team you're playing for. You got to love your coach. You got to love the defense. Everything has to work out for you to be a linebacker in the NFL, because there's not many of you. There's not a lot of you on the field unless you run a different type defense. But Patrick Graham's not going to change what he does. You just got to fit into it. And Amari Burney, I didn't think fit into that.
Yeah.
So that's why we're getting these guys.
I think with Jalen Smith, the passion of the game was there. It was just the fact that he was injured, you know what I'm saying? And he's been dealing with injuries. So this is kind of a, hey, let's see what you can do, you know what I'm saying, on injury. Can you stay healthy for us? And if you can, then, hey, we got something for you, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the year, you know what I'm saying? But I think it's kind of how they say it, low ceiling, high reward or whatever. It's kind of one of those, like, if Jalen Smith doesn't pan out for us, okay, whatever. But if he does, cool. That means now we got, you know what I'm saying, Landon Roberts, we got Devin White, we got Jalen Smith, and then whoever, the young guys behind them. You know what I'm saying? So that just makes our linebacking room even more, even better. So we'll see how he comes off an injury. He was, when he was here last year, he was a little slow. And that's kind of something that I'm going to be looking at in preseason to see, if that was an injury thing or if that's really what he is. Because I knew he was a little faster than what he was playing. And I think if he might have been trying to, he was playing hurt, you know what I'm saying? And that probably kind of messed up with his speed too. So.
And that type guy, especially linebacker, you have to play hurt, bro. You get beat up all the time. You're expected to be in there,
Yeah.
If you're expecting your linebackers to just cover and be dropping back all the time, your vision of football is whack, because they got to get in there and get to the line of scrimmage and not let those running backs, those quarterbacks, or whatever, the screens or whatever. You got to be there to pop these guys and leave your indention on that game. You gotta dictate the pace of that game by what you do, as far as a linebacker. That's the leader of the defense. It has to be your middle linebacker. We've seen that with Spillane. We got, Max got all the credit. Max got all this, and we're about the defensive line. But when Max wasn't in there, Spillane took it over. Spillane took that defense over, and we Raider Nation agreed with that. We said, "Come on, Spillane, let's go. Let's get this team ready." And at the end of the season, I thought that defense played well with young guys. We didn't even know the names of these guys, Twuan. I didn't even know the names of that secondary, man. And they played good. They balled out. I expect Richardson to come in here and ball out, because he got picked on so much.
That's the same thing
it's the same thing that would happen to JB. He got picked on because Jack Jones was on the other side, and then he had the other dickhead that we finally got rid of. But Jack Jones was there solidifying that other side, and then JB was on his own, got picked on. And then the next year he came back, and then look, he had a good season until he got hurt. He was doing great until he got hurt. And then Richardson, I hope, and he's a Pete Carroll type guy. He's taller, longer, faster. Yep.
He fits. He fits perfectly with Pete Carroll.
It's perfect with what he did. That's why we ain't gonna get rid of that dude, because he fits the mold of Pete Carroll. He is aggressive. He's a tackler. JB has to have a good season because he's a smaller guy, but he's very physical. He's very physical. He tackle and just don't get hurt. I think an injury will probably get JB out the mix, because we're getting guys that are big guys. This Dorian Porter guy, he ain't no little dude. He's a big guy. He's a heavy hitter. And those are type guys, aggressive guys. Man, I see us, Twuan. The vision that I have with this defense, I haven't really said it out loud, but I'll say it with you, man. We're going to be fast. You're going to see it on the field. It ain't going to be slow-ass plays, slow-ass tackles, dudes getting 15 yards. These dudes, they catch the ball in the middle. They're going to get hit. They're going to get hit hard. All right, get a penalty. Maybe you get iffy. Replay, all right, that's aggressive. That's hey, I ain't gonna run that play no more. I'm gonna get my receiver hurt. I ain't gonna do that. So that dictates a game flow. I don't want that almost eliminates your inside route play. And what it does is that It dictates the game and flow saying, hey, on third and long, they ain't gonna go through the middle. The middle was wide open for what 4 years already. That's why I didn't like Patrick Graham coming back because we weren't good on third downs. And in the middle of the field on third downs or long situations where we could dictate that series, we got beat on big plays up the middle of the field. Kelsey had his best games with us, and he had a bad season. Kelsey didn't have a 100-yard game until he played us.
Yeah. I mean, all the tight ends, it seemed like every week whoever the tight end was going to have a good game.
They were on fucking Sports Center, man. Every tight end that played, it was on Sports Center. Look at that. Look at the Miami game. We lost the Miami game because we couldn't cover the middle of the field.
Yeah. We're talking about Jacorian Bennett. I think Jacorian Bennett, as much as we like him, I think like you said, he's put on notice because he's not Pete Carroll's cup of tea. But I will say with Pete Carroll, look, you may not be my cup of tea, but if you go out there and do your job, I'm gonna leave you alone. So that's where Jacorian Bennett has the opportunity to kind of, I know I'm a shorter corner, but if I go out there and do what I showed, what I'm saying, I think even what he showed us, what I'm saying, in the past couple of not past couple of seasons, but last year, I think that showed, hey, he's there. So if he can show that and even take a jump up from that, yeah, I think Pete Carroll will leave him alone. But if he don't, like you said, he might be on the back end of the roster. You know what I'm saying? Because again, everybody that he's bringing in are ex-bas. I'm not ex-basketball players, but they're all tall. You know what I'm saying? DeCam is tall. You know what I'm saying? Dorian is tall. You know what I'm saying? Stokes is, Stokes ain't short either. You know what I'm saying? So
they brought in bigger guys, taller guys, fast guys. Jacorian's fast, but is he? I think his aggressiveness and how he improved.
Yeah.
After we got rid of the cancer that his first year, I think that how aggressive he is, he's a very, very aggressive corner, and that's good to have. That's Pete Carroll's type T. You ain't gonna push me around, no matter if you're a big receiver. But these receivers are getting bigger, they're getting faster, and you got to be able to manage that too. You got to be able to be aggressive. There's this thing going around in my chat, Twuan. I don't know if you're paying attention to it, but did the Chargers release Najee Harris? They cut Najee Harris, or is that just a joke?
You know what? I haven't looked at it. You know what I'm saying?
It's big news to me if Najee Harris got cut.
If it is, it's because of some type of injury underlining. Something crazy must have happened in order for that. You know what I'm saying? Because
if you're ready to fool Chris, ain't no joker. And so I respect his. I respect his opinion. I think he went in my chat and said that, or Jack. Or I don't know who was, but Jack Ken is responding to it, and then Fool Chris I think was in it. So if you guys know in the chat, what's up with the if Najee Harris is available, you're gonna be put on. He was signed, so he has to get put on waivers, or maybe it might be just me making too much money, and they're gonna dwindle it down to. Shit, pick up Najee Harris, man. Shit, I'll take that quick. That'd be a banger.
As I can see, he's still on the Chargers.
Okay, so I don't know if it's true. J.E. said it corrected himself, though Najee Harris still a choker. Okay, that's what he said. Okay, Chip Kelly's offense, they're going to put these defenders in space. Space is very important now in football. Detroit God, yes, it is. I said it. He corrected himself, though Najee is still a choker. I don't think they would get rid of Najee Harris. They're paying him a lot of money. Nah, Grave, y'all confused Chargers with Pittsburgh. I don't think he got cut. I think he was a free agent and went to the Chargers. But that's somebody we got to worry about, man. That's something we have to worry about, Najee Harris. That's why we're doing stuff like this. I'm really, really, really focused on our division, Twan. And I don't know how important that is to you, but I didn't really like. I mention it all the time, bro. I mention it all the time. We didn't win a game in our division, and that broke my heart, bro. When I knew that, and I don't know. I haven't heard anybody really emphasize that until now. People have been saying it, but I just think that we got to win games in our division to be good. You know, if we even get fourth in our division, if we get last in our division, but we 500, then I'm cool with that. That means that the other teams, they ain't gonna be better than us. If all of us are beating each other, the division will be based on the wins and losses. But if we go 500 in our division, we're gonna be somewhere because that's 3 games that we won, and that's 1 game that we got to win out of the division, or a couple of games out of the division that we can win. So we'll be better if we just win half of our games in our division. And we just thought that we didn't look good with this past weekend. We didn't look good. We didn't look like a good football team. We looked like we had 10 straight losses, in a row. That's the type of team that we were looking like to me. Rome was not built in a day. Everybody back on that again. Who said that? Detroit guy. Well, this ain't Rome, homeboy. Well, this ain't Rome, homeboy. This is the Raiders.
So quick read on the Chargers. I think, and this was a guy that I hated that they got, because I wanted to bring him over here, and was not one of the names that I brought up a lot at running back. They got an undrafted free agent.
Najee?
No, Najee's there, but they brought in another guy, and his name is Raheem Sanders.
Mario Hampton too.
Yeah, so they're flooding that running back room. So Najee might, my favorite word, cheap labor. Najee might be on his way out soon. Not now, but soon, because again, if you look at if you have Raheem Sanders, which I know that he can play well, you have Amari Hampton over there that plays well. Do you really need to spend money on Najee? Right? So I think that's the bad news, or that's what people are hoping that will happen, is that these rookies that will come in will beat out Najee, or politics-wise and money-wise, it's cheaper to have Amari and Hampton and Raheem Sanders over Najee Harris and spending that cap. You know what I'm saying? So that I know it's a Raider channel, but we definitely got to talk about the enemy every once in a while. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. To all channels here at Raider Twuan. It's here for you, Coach Gravy. Okay, definitely subscribe to my boy, Coach Gravy. Okay, yeah. And again, I'm Raider Twuan, so go ahead and subscribe to that. I can't click on some of your guys' comments, but I can read them. I don't know what happened with Gravy's computer there. Jack Ken, I see you in the chat. There we go. Charger sign. Backed into to play right guard. Okay. I know that was a guy that we were possibly looking at. Mekhi Becton. It's a big lineman. Willie Wayne, go Raiders. You guys, hey, let's go. You feel me? Raiders. Hey, you guys, let me. Hey, question. Even though I can't put it up on the screen, but question: what was your favorite free agent that we added to the team that we signed? Either we re-signed or we Max Crosby's not a free agent, okay? So don't put Max. But what free agent acquisition, either new or re-signed, that you guys liked? Hey, I see you, Gravy. You said I'm trying. Hey, look, it's your building, so hopefully you can. Hopefully you didn't lock yourself out the house. Detroit said, I can't even tell you I haven't kept up with. Hey, see, that's why, hey, Detroit, you need to come over and holler at your boy, Raider Twuan. Get with the channel, because I'm giving you guys all that stuff. On a weekly basis. Okay. Ready for Chris said Kuntz. Okay. We talked about Kuntz on that 1-year contract. Jack Kenneth said Jeremy Chin is my favorite free agent. Okay. From another team. Okay. Jack Kenneth also said from in-house is Kuntz and Butler. Okay. I'll tell you right now, my favorite free agent signing is, drum roll, Adam Butler. Adam Butler is my free agent signing, my favorite out of everybody that we brought in, because I know, you know what I'm saying, and Gravy probably can, you know what I'm saying, because he looks at tape like I do. He knows how important Adam Butler was to our defensive line, pass rush wise. He was setting up a lot of those Max Crosby plays that you guys fell in love with. It was because Adam Butler was the assist man on those plays. So I'm glad we brought Adam Butler back.
For holding that down, bro. I appreciate that. I don't know, something happened with my internet. I don't know what's going on around here, but I ain't no budget. I'm paying for this shit. Maybe it's StreamYard. I'm always having problems with StreamYard. It ain't my internet, I'll tell you that. I got 2 TVs on here. I'm watching TV and then I'm watching Us. And I started freezing and all that stuff. And I said, oh, I'm out. They kicked me right out. Kick the host out.
The only thing that sucks about it is that because I don't have access, you know what I'm saying? Because obviously this is kind of on your end. I can't click on the chat, so I'm reading the chat, but I can't pull it up. So yeah, but hey, look, we've done this for years, man. We've held channels down, and
know what to do, bro.
Internet was going down for them, but we kept it going. So it wasn't too much hard work, man. Especially
the internet, the StreamYard got powerful for a minute. Yeah, I forgot Adam Butler. You were having a good little talk about Adam Butler. I was very happy that we signed Adam Butler. It was a very important pickup. Very important.
Very important. I and it's funny because of and that's why I was asking people like what's your favorite free agent, because a lot of people they don't even consider, like they don't even think about Adam Butler when it comes to, oh, we got Jeremy Chin, oh, we got, you know what I'm saying, we got Devin White, we got, you know what I'm saying, and it's like Adam Butler. Look, if you ask me, and this is how much I'm high on Adam Butler. If you ask me what one had to stay and one had to go, and you told me Kuntz or Butler, I'd be like, hey, Kuntz, you gotta go, bro.
Yeah, I would have done the same thing.
But that's how I feel about Adam Butler.
The work is not. Mike G dirty. Yeah, he's always that way. I know he's not talking the truth. It's better without gravy. It's a gravy show, man. Gravy and Twine show. The GT show. GT show. Blesses to everybody. Mike Guerrero with this joke. There you go. Jack Keller. The work is not finished. Time to excisions, the K Miller and the extensions. We got to get Miller back. Very important that we do. He's the veteran of that offensive line. I like it. I like what we did as far as the draft is concerned with the offensive line, bro. And Jacoby Myers, I had this vision. We got 2 wide receivers with this that we signed. We got 2 wide receivers. I don't know how big they are, but I'm suggesting that they're bigger guys, and those are the type guys that bigger, stronger, faster. They probably do something right. You know that.
You talking about the new wide receivers?
Yeah, we just signed them. I like our picks. You know, and I'm not real the free agents. I just want free agents. I know the list and the free agent wide receivers that we got, but the guys that we're signing, you know, that we're bringing onto the team, and the guys that got on, like the guy last year that with the return guy, he was considered a wide receiver, and when we
see you talking about Tyreek McAllister.
Tyreek McAllister, he was.
You know what? I was hoping that he would. That's one of the guys that I was going to say. I forgot to say it earlier, but that was one of the guys that I was hoping would stay, because I think he works. I think he will work well in the Chip Kelly, you know what I'm saying, offense. I think he takes over for DJ Turner. I think Tyreek took over that DJ Turner role for us, like to be that gadget guy. But we'll see what, you know, because they brought in Melott. You know what I'm saying? And I think Melott's supposed to be kind of that gadget guy too.
I could see that. I could see the Mallet doing that stuff, but he's so, you know, offensively, you know, he thinks like a quarterback. He knows what he's doing. He's in an offense where he did that, bro. He ran around like a son. I watched that game. I concentrated on that game between those 2 quarterbacks that played the awesome game, bro. That game was awesome to watch.
That championship game?
The championship game between North Dakota and Montana. The different type football right there. You know what I mean? You could see the talent difference of what we're used to seeing and these guys. But those 2 guys were the special players on that team. The 2 quarterbacks were the special players on that team. I think he was such the best athlete on that team that he had to be the quarterback. Otherwise, he would have been something else. And when we looked at it, we investigated, I questioned, why did we get 2 quarterbacks back to back in this draft? Why didn't we get a linebacker? I was so anticipated, hey, let's get a linebacker now. You know, but we got 2 quarterbacks. And I questioned that, but now I know why. This guy is dynamic. I'm surprised that Mallet fell so far just with the athleticism, and he's fast, dude. You look at these guys. The quarterback is not as fast, but he could do the things that Chip Kelly wants to do. He has to push Aiden O'Connell. Athletically, the dude's gonna beat out Aiden O'Connell. It's just this and the accuracy he needs to get, and he's not throwing to top-notch receivers. They have their receivers and that division that he plays in. But these guys, the quarterbacking is just the same. They're very well coached, or the both of them where they were at, and
Mm-hmm.
they got the quarterback down. And you can see some Chip Kelly's no secret that Chip Kelly's going to have a bunch of creativity and a bunch of. I expect that from Chip Kelly. That's what we didn't have years. We didn't even have creativity. I think Musgrave was the most creative guy that we had, and DC had his best year. We were with the guys that we had on that team was made Derek Carr what he was for that team, and
Mm-hmm.
Having Crabtree, having Amari Cooper, those type athletes that we had on that team. We had Latavius Murray. We had Vivian for 1 year. We had Darren McFadden when Musgrave was there. And that's just the creativity that Bill Musgrave has is in a sense kind of what Chip Kelly does. Totally different offenses, but the newness that Chip Kelly brings. Chip Kelly didn't like recruiting people. You know what I mean? And you have to do that when you're in college. He got tired of that shit. So now he gets to focus on what he does best, and that's get put in a room, have his staff in there, and create, something for this Raiders team to blossom. We don't know what it's going to be. We have a sense, but if you look at Chip Kelly and what he's done in the past, it's not going to be like Ohio State. It'll be more advanced, super duper more advanced than Chip Kelly. I mean, and then Ohio State, because the difference between a Ohio State playbook and an NFL playbook is like this. It's gonna be like this. So I'm just excited about it, and I'm gonna say that always. I'm excited to see, what he's gonna do, and the players that he's getting. Twuan, like I said, you could tell what the type guys. He has to have emphasis or say on what the guys he's getting. He had to say, okay, let's get this tall kid, but he's fast. You know what I mean? We have to get him. We're going to work on his route running. He's a 4th-round pick. We'll work on his route running, and a perfect guy to do that is Jakobi Meyers. They're going to use the shit out of Jakobi Meyers to teach these guys how to run routes because he's good at it. And what's good about these receivers and Bash and Thornton that we got high in the draft is that you don't see a problem with them getting the football. They got very, very, very strong hands where they take the ball from people. Best is known for his violent catch radius that he has. He's violent. He go get the ball. He don't care if there's a corner there or anything. He gonna get hit, and he knows he is. It might be harder, and the impact might be harder when he was in college, but he could take that. And I see that in Best. Very, very, very rarely these guys drop the football. That's a main factor. I see a limited role with Trey Tucker. I'm done with Trey Tucker. So this Thornton kid is just as fast.
You get rid of him for Thornton?
Maybe he could get into that role. I appreciate what Trey Tucker does, bro. But like I've been saying, that he, every time he has the big play potential, but I can't have you just do one play a game, bro. I need you to catch 10 balls, 15 balls, 12 balls. The production of Trey Tucker is not there for me like it would be, it's not going to be like Jakobi, but that's all we had was Jakobi and Bowers. We threw the shit out of the football to those two guys, and that's why they got 1,000-yard seasons, because we didn't have a running game. We knew that. We abandoned the running game in games because we couldn't do it, and it wasn't the blame goes halfway. The offensive line was getting bounced around. You had guys getting hurt and other guys moving in, not playing the position that they're best at. And then you didn't have any running back doing anything. So we forced the ball to Brock Bowers. We forced the ball to Jakobi. They took that initiative to take it and then let us down with it. If you're tied in, no matter how athletic and how good he is, it shouldn't be your number one threat. You know what I mean? And when they put, like with San Diego, or where what's his name was that covered Brock Bowers, he sold him up. And then what did we do? You know what I mean? We didn't know what to do. We just gave it to Jacoby, forced it to Jacoby. 20 targets, and then he ended up getting 1,000 yards during that game and all that stuff. But you want to be able to throw it to your running back, run the football, do this and that. We got that. So supposedly, we just. If you're that high of a pick as far as a running back is concerned, you got to do something. I'm so excited to see Aston Genty run, and I'm so excited for this offensive line. The emphasis on getting 2 offensive linemen back to back I was happy with that, bro. I was so happy with that.
Thank you. Please address this O-line.
I did that. I know some people said.
Am I not the only one that knows his offensive line needs some help?
Yeah, I know people would disagree with me because they wanted to get a higher pick, but our offensive line wasn't good running the ball because we didn't have any running backs. The running back has to help out the offensive line, at least do something. You know what I mean? Help them out, bro. They're doing the best they can by blocking. It's not that we sucked in blocking these guys or getting in the way with these guys. It's just that our running backs couldn't get there. That's part of the factor. And play calling was a big factor. We didn't have a legit offensive coordinator, even when Getsy was there. And it just affected our offensive play. When you got to throw the ball all the time, it hurts you. And people, you're just one-dimensional, and that's what we were, bro. That's the way we were. And that's why we lost games of backup quarterbacks. That's why we lost games to bad teams, Got beat by shit, man. We got beat by so many backup quarterbacks. How many times did that happen, Twuan? I was pissed, bro. But nobody realized that. And then I was just bashing the Raiders. Well, Gravy was, it was legit, bro. We won 4 games. And the reason why, because we didn't run the football. We would have won at least 2 games where we got at least 100 yards. And between all 4 of them, would have got at least maybe 2 games winning. Even with O'Connell in there. That's what I think. Running the ball is so important in the NFL, bro.
It is. I think, and you know what? I think, Gravy, I think our wide receiver room is actually deeper than people realize.
Yeah.
I really do. There's good, solid
players. With good, solid players. You don't have this inconsistency like Trey Tucker. Raider fans jock Trey Tucker because he's so fast and he catches balls deep and all that. Okay, I understand that we love the deep ball, the 80s, the 90s Raiders and all this shit. Blah, blah, blah. Football has evolved, That's why people. Well, why do we keep running those screens, the bubble screens, and having the running back do a bubble screen, and why we keep doing that? Football has evolved that way, It's more efficient, and you got a higher percentage of catching the football 5 yards and just quick game. Quarterback releases the ball that fast, right? You save your quarterback, and that receiver can get the ball if he's fast, if he's 4'2", 4'9", 3. It's going to be hard for these linebackers and these defensive linemen to even catch the kid. And all he has to worry, if he's a big guy, all he has to worry about is a little DB trying to get him. We're the only team, there's a couple of teams that got all around their secondary with big guys like that, bro. It's amazing that these guys we don't got a cornerback besides JB that's under 6'1", bro, 6'2". You look at a DB that's 6'2", 220, that's a big dude. And the quarterback, being you don't see that in the NFL, bro. He's got 5'10", 5'9", but they're super fast. But big, you could tackle that receiver. That big DK, you're gonna get popped big time. And he go, even guys like that, the big guys like that are gonna say, I want that guy. I don't want Palomar come to hit me. I don't want Chin knocking my ass out. I'm $100 million guy, man. I got to be around, and then we're gonna put damage on those big receivers like that with our secondary to make them think like that. And I see that with our defense. Your cornerbacks are knocking your ass out. Get out the way, bro. You got the advantage already. That's what I think. I mean, you can tell I'm pumped up, Twuan, with this defense. I think we're gonna see guys that we don't know, and that barely came on. I think that Pete Carroll's going to give them the opportunity. It ain't going to be, hey, we're injured. Go out there and see what you got. That's what we did last year. Now these guys are these UDFAs. These bigger kids are going to say, I'm bigger than you. Let's go. The mentality of them is different. All you hear about these new guys that we got, loves football, smart. You didn't hear that I've never heard that the way the reaction of these guys. When they get down to business and then they get down to talking about the bios of these guys that love football, you know, has a chip on his shoulder, been dogged out, didn't get an opportunity. These dudes are going to take advantage of that opportunity. If they do, they're going to go in there and knock this shit out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is when you're talking about the screen pass, like just think about it. Like, is it going to be easy for my quarterback to dump it off and then you know what I'm saying, all that saying that running back or that wide receiver has to do is make one move and hopefully, you know what I'm saying, hopefully that wide receiver on that side makes a key block and that's a touchdown. Like, you would do that every single day. You know what I'm saying? All day if you could. You know what I'm saying? So for those that are like, why are we not?
Why we keep doing that? Why we keep doing that?
Yeah, or why we keep doing it? It's like, no,
everybody does it.
It works. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, they know personnel. Obviously, they know whoever that corner is on that side. Maybe he doesn't like to tackle, or he can't tackle. So you know what I'm saying? You put them in compromising positions to make a play, and that's why you keep running certain things. So that you can't knock it. But with Trey, I think Trey, he's gonna have to, you know what I'm saying, go out there and ball out. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we know that he has the speed, but he's gonna have to get open in other ways. And I think it would benefit him, you know what I'm saying, to have, you know what I'm saying, someone that can also stretch the field and maybe out there at the same time. Like, don't put it past, Chip Kelly that he puts Trey Tucker out there with Dante Thornton, and then it really puts, you know what I'm saying, puts a secondary in trouble. Because who, you know what I'm saying, you put them on two different sides, what side is the safety going to cover? He's gonna have to cover, you know what I'm saying? Somebody's going to be one-on-one. So I think
it's even more of a mismatch. It's even more of a mismatch. Those are wide receiver screens. You see those a lot. Those are the type of wide receiver screens that you could give to Jacoby, like a Jamar Chase, DK and all that. Just imagine doing a bubble screen with Ascengenti and these big ass linemen get the mismatch with hitting the cornerback. Corners. They got to make. That's when you start saying that's a business decision. You're going to be up here 185 pounds, 190 pounds, and you got to match up with a 320-pound guy pulling, for a bubble screen. And those guys you making a life decision right there. If you want to get hit by this dude or get that running back, you got to be a tough son of a bitch as a corner to go out there and try to get that back, because it ain't going to happen. Just to look at the logistics of it. It ain't gonna happen. Look at the physics. Look at the physics of a 300-something pound man running full speed, no matter how slow it is, hitting a 190-pound guy. It ain't gonna work out for you. It ain't gonna work out. That's the mismatch of that screen. There's a reason for them doing it.
And the guys that we brought in recently, you know what I'm saying, on our line, those guys move. You know what I'm saying?
They move, yeah.
They move. So yeah, there's a lot. You know what I'm saying, in regards to Chip Kelly. And I think Chip Kelly has so many playbooks, you know what I'm saying, that he could pull from and say, okay, I think this works for this, for this guy. I think this play from this playbook, I think this works for the guy that we have on this roster. And I think that's what he's going to do, is just put all that together and highlight, you know what I'm saying, hey, Genty, what styles of runs do you like? You know what I'm saying? Let's put you in what you like. You know what I'm saying? Or, hey, Brock Bowers, I know you were our number one option last year. You know what I'm saying? What do you like? You know what I'm saying? Where do you want the ball to be at? All of that. All those discussions are going to be, because even Chip Kelly said it. I'm gonna make, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna pull the best out of these guys that I have. And they're giving him, like I said, they're giving him a lot of options weapon wise in regards to attacking the offense. So I'm excited for this offense to definitely take a jump. We know our defense last year was our main, you know what I'm saying, held us together as best as they could. But it's time for our offense to, like I've been saying, it's hard when you have a defense that's throwing punches, but your offense ain't throwing punches, and you fighting with one arm. You know what I'm saying? I think now we'll see situations where we'll be fighting with both of our hands, offensively and defensively.
Exactly. You mentioned the offensive defensive part. I'm gonna stay offensively, and when you don't have a running game, not a lick of a running game, we're averaging 60 yards rushing, 4 guys. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. People are saying, "God damn," that's like, they're on TV saying, "God damn, that's bad." You know what I mean? So if we could just bump that up to 80, 90, 100 yards between 2 guys or whatever, that'll make it easier for Geno and make it easy. Brock Bowers should be a luxury to get the ball to him and him to get busy. You know what I mean? That's a luxury type talent that we have. Brock Bowers, it shouldn't be the focus point on the defense to stop this guy. You should have to worry about Jacoby Myers. You should have to worry about Thornton. You should have to be worrying about Trey Tucker. You should have to be worrying about Anthony Gentry in the backfield. Just that alone messes up your defense. You want defensive coordinators going, fuck, what are we going to do about this guy? What are we going to do about this guy? You know what I mean? You want him in his room like bitching. What are we going to do about this guy? We can't cover this guy. And what if they do this? That's the way defensive coordinators are. And then offensive coordinators will say, wait, what can I do to fuck this guy's defense up? What do I got to do to do this? Chip Kelly is just that guy. Mad freaking scientist that wants to get at that defensive coordinator and say, I'm going to whoop your ass no matter who I got out there. And I'm going to design plays. I'm going to design schemes to do that. No matter who I have out there, I'm going to at least try it. I'm going to at least try it. I ain't going to wipe it away because that's what we did last year. We just said, we ain't running the ball. We're going to beat you with a quarterback that ain't really for that. Now we have a guy that could do that.
And that's why I'm really excited about Chip Kelly, because every stop that Chip Kelly was in, that offense looked different. When he was with Oregon, that looked like a different offense. You know what I'm saying? When he was with Philly, that looked like a different offense. When he was at Ohio State, that looked like you know what I'm saying? And how many and all of those offenses were good. All those offenses were good. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if he can do that, just imagine what he'll do with what we got.
So there's a lot of people that say, Chip Kelly is this guy. Shady McCoy is his biggest critic. The receiver that was there was big critic. The reason why, Chip Kelly's not the best guy. I've been in seminars with Chip Kelly. You know what I mean? I listened to him when he was at he wasn't at UCLA. Well, he was going to UCLA, and it was in Los Angeles where I went to the seminar with him, and he was leaving Oregon. He was at Oregon. And it was a while back. He was at Oregon, but that offense was the epitome of that tempo. We were so interested in tempo, and how he brought that to the NFL. For 3 years that he was there, Philadelphia was a top offense in the NFL. Well, just with that alone, and he wasn't even the fastest offense out there per play. You know who was, Twuan? Those years that he was there, you know who was the fastest after every huddle? You wouldn't even think of it. You wouldn't even believe it. You know who was faster than Chip Kelly's offense? And those years that he was there was the New England Patriots, Tom Brady. They were faster. They inherited that New England was the fastest. Yeah. They inherited that tempo. They stayed the same, but they just did things faster. And then that's why you see linemen, defensive tackles not being 380, the wider, fatter, whole stuff in big defensive linemen. Those guys could not hang with Chip Kelly's tempo, and they were getting tired, and that's how he beat you. That's how he beat you. That tempo was wicked, bro. 25 seconds on the play clock. Fucking run the play. The play clock wasn't even on with him, bro. Just next play, let's go. And those offensive linemen were running to the ball, snap it, boom. Run to the ball, snap it, boom. That defense was tired, wicked, tired. That's why he had the most scoring. That's why that philosophy right there. Shady McCoy had the best 2 years of his life when he was with Chip Kelly, and then he talked shit on him. He wasn't a good guy. He's not a good guy. I tell you that. He's not real approachable. If you talk football with him, he'll be cool with you. But if you want to talk about, I ain't got time for that shit. He's like that. I have to be the best guy.
Coaches are assholes anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't want my coach either way. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want I want a coach to tell me you're fucking up. If you're not that type coach, then get out of here. And we needed that. But all this babysitting and loving all these, you're all right. Jack Jones, you can be whoever you want to be out in the street. I don't care. Now he's like, man, you're football. That's it. You're my best friend. I ain't here to be your best friend or babysit you. I'm here to coach you. And how you take that in, that's you. And those are the type of guys we got. They want to be soaked with football. And we got coaches like that. His life is football. We got coaches like that, bro. We got coaches that their life is football. And that's the way it is. People go that way with me, man. Very excited about Chip Kelly and the way he wants to run teams. It's going to be different. They finally beat UNLV. That would have demolished the Anthony Stacy argument. I don't know about that one. Detroit guy is over here. We don't want to talk about basketball. I don't think the Fab Five would have demolished that UNLV team with Stacey Augment and Larry. I'm sorry, bro. I seen that. UNLV was in the whack, and I seen them when they had Tarkanian. Tarkanian graduated from Fresno State. I don't know if you know that, Twuan. Joey Tarkanian graduated from Fresno State. Okay. And he coached at San Joaquin Memorial. He coached Fresno State. But when he was at UNLV, they smashed Duke. You know what I mean? They won national championship. Smashed Duke by 30, 40. I don't think Michigan could have beat those Duke teams that UNLV beat. I watched that personally. Detroit, I'll give you credit though. The Fab Five was really good, but I don't know about that UNLV team. I don't know about that.
The schedule release is coming out, huh?
Tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Mike said for week 1, Denver Raiders or the 17th, September 17th. Yeah, Mike Guerrero. Bull over there, yours. He got the finesse, I guess, tactics to get the schedule early, and he told me that they're going to play the 17th of September.
What?
He already got his tickets locked up, bro.
Because is it? Well, obviously they got home and away. So, is it going to be at home or is that actually going to be in Denver?
Well, coming from Mike, that's probably an away game.
Away game
in Detroit. I mean, in Denver. That's Denver, where Mike stays at. He always goes to that game. I think Pyro goes up there with them, and they kick back over there. That's good. That's good meeting up with your partners and stuff over there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We got to make a game, Twuan. We got to get you over here, man. You can roll with us, man. Stop by here, Fresno. We'll take you over there. Let's go.
Hey, you ain't
that far away, bro. You ain't that far away.
Definitely.
My middle daughter's gonna be out there by you, man. She's gonna move out there by. She's moving out the city, San Francisco, and she's gonna move down to San Jose side. We're a little bit cheaper.
Okay.
She got to finish college in the city, so she's working and gonna be moving down. I go, get closer to me, so I can go up. But she give me a reason to enjoy going to San Francisco with all my appointments. I get to see my kid. You know, so now I go to San Francisco. I got nothing to do, so we're just gonna come straight back. I love San Francisco, bro. I love San Francisco.
Yeah, it's nice out there. It just depends on what area you're in. I'll say it like that.
Oh man, I'm tenderloined out, bro. I'm tenderloined out.
Oh, okay, man.
Tenderloin, the smack right in the middle of downtown San Francisco. Man.
Yeah,
the most smelliest. San Francisco smells like shit, really, but it's a beautiful city. You know what I mean? I paid taxes in San Francisco for a month, dude. I was there, so hey, that's good. It was good living there, man. I get to move around that much, but I've been there several times. You know that. I got adapted to it. I wouldn't move there. It's too expensive.
No.
Really, really expensive. So cheaper. The price he told me to stay in San Jose and then to stay in San Francisco, thousands of dollars difference. And then she has a garage. She goes, Pop, haven't had a garage since I was in Fresno. I go, yeah, you get to use it too. You get to put your own car in there. Because in San Francisco,
hey, look, the simple things. People don't realize that, like, you have a garage. Like, you know what I'm saying? Some people don't even realize that's something like you really look. That's crazy.
They people that don't know this, they rent. Not only do they rent their house out if you own real estate in San Francisco. Okay, you got a 3-bedroom house. Normally 3 or 4 people will share that rent, and you'll charge them $5,000 a month. You know, they do their half. And you got 1 bathroom in there because they're all old homes. They're all old.
Got to park on the street.
Yeah. And then they also rent out their garages for $3,000 a month. And then you don't get to use that garage because somebody rents that from the landlord, from the super, and then you're asked out in parking.
That's what a lot of people have done is they've turned the garage into, you know what I'm saying, they put sheetrock and all that stuff up, and they made it into a whole room in the garage.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's this different. I go, well, I don't have a garage. I go, you have this big ass house? He goes, yeah, I share it with 6 people. I go, yeah, really? Yeah. How much is the rent? $5,500 for a 2-bedroom. 1 bath. When was it made? 1905. All them houses there are old. You know, downtown in the city, and it can expand. So all they got to do is move up. You know, it moves up because you got the bay around you. Then you could go out over the bridge and go to San Jose. But that still ain't the Bay Area. But San Jose is the borderline for me from the Bay Area. San Jose. But I don't. It's weird, man. The prices of that land there is crazy.
It's going up, man. Because you know we've been talking about it. You know, especially in this area, everything is tech now. You know what I'm saying? You got all the tech companies up here, and they're making buku money, so they can afford. You know what I'm saying? And now, especially in this area, you're seeing a lot of more high-rise apartments, and they're classifying them as luxury apartments, and it's because they're making them almost like suites. You know what I'm saying? So $5,000 a month just for one apartment. You know what I'm saying?
That's average.
Yeah, exactly. So and just think about how much that is a year. That's being, you know what I'm saying? So these guys are making a whole lot of money to stay in these places, and those are the people that are coming into, you know, the Bay Area. There's a lot of, you know, people that went to college all the way on the East Coast, but they now got a job in the Bay Area, and they're paying that large rent because they're making that much.
And you can look at what my daughter does, where she works at. I'm not gonna say, but you don't get paid more money, not drastically. You know, maybe 1,000 or 2 more a year than you would in Fresno. And we don't even have the prices of homes here, like here, then San Francisco was way less. But when you work there, it's not, it cost of living is more, so they pay you more. Nah, it's not like that. You could be a cook in Fresno and probably make the same amount of money in San Francisco. So they budget themselves so well. You know, she learned how to budget her money so well to where she can live there. I said, damn. Teach your mom that, so I don't have to suffer through all
right. Yeah. Don't be going shopping every weekend.
Not me either, man. I'm stingy. I don't like spending money, bro. I don't like spending money.
You know what? To be honest with you, I think this year, I'm hoping to get out to at least 2 games this year. We'll see. It'd
be great, man. Let me know.
Because last year I went to New Orleans because I had family out there, so
Yeah.
that made it a whole lot easy to spend time with my cousins out there in New Orleans and then go to the game. But I'm gonna see what this schedule release says, and then I know one of my I'll say this, I'll say my cousin, one of the home games, because they put out those that are going to be home and those are going to be away, but they don't put the dates. Well, one of the home games is actually the Bears, and one of my cousins is a Bears fan, so it depends on the timing, but I might try to go out there on my cousin because again he's a Bears fan, but at least I could go to the game with him and check it out.
Make it out here, man. You go at least go to the LA game. I gotta find out.
The LA game.
Yeah, the last LA game, I don't like it, but it was drastic, crazy hot in LA that day that we went to that Chargers game, bro. And I was still sick, and dude, I remember looking at my steps because that's when my watch gave me the steps. I walked 30,000 steps that day. 30,000. The watch was telling me, "Good job, keep going," all that shit. I don't want to hear that shit.
Good job, Gravy. Keep it healthy.
I don't want to hear that. What the hell did I never did that. My watch was tripping, bro. Good job, great job. Wait, keep going. All that the fuck that. And it was so hot, bro, and humid over there. And then we lost the game. I hated that.
I feel like I'm about to die.
Yeah. But it was fun seeing everybody. It was fun seeing everybody. I know everybody would like seeing you. Real talk. What's up, man? 805 said both my parents from San Jose, dad at Capitan, mom from the east side San Jose. I got family in east side San Jose too. King Street. The King Street over there.
King and Story, man.
King and Story, exactly that little hood right there where there's a little school right there.
Tropicana.
That school right there, the backyard of my family was that school. You hop the fence and we used to play football and stuff over there.
Wow. That's crazy.
They lived out there. I used to love going over there. Stay over there, watch Raider games, go to Oakland, and then come back.
So right next to that school now, they built a whole Target. And yeah, they it's a new shopping center on that side. Across the street was where they call it that Tropicana, but on the other side of what Tropicana is, they made a whole nother. So yeah, Target is over there, Starbucks, Wells Fargo.
Oh, they got all new.
Yeah, they built that up, but yeah, it's
I know
still there.
I know a little section that was they used to have when I was younger. When I was into that, when they used to have the True gear, they used to have a little. I think it was called Jazzies or something like that.
Okay.
You could go up there and get the LL Cool J get up, get your little T-shirt, spray painted with the little ink right there, going on right there. They used to have that back in the hip hop days. That looked like they tore it. I could see the improvement. San Jose's getting bigger. San Jose is bigger than Fresno. I know that. I think Fresno's bigger than Modesto, Stockton. Fresno's even bigger than Sacramento. So San Jose's bigger than Fresno. All in all, it's a good little city, man. I wouldn't mind living there. San Francisco's beautiful, but I love that place. I wouldn't live there though. Too expensive to live there. But what was they saying? What were they? What's your input on DC, bro? Give me that.
I think I think it's a well-deserved career. I think he did a lot of things for us. Raider wise, I know some people, want to, just think all his entire career was horrible. I think there was, when you look at the story of what was going on when he was here, a lot of that stuff he was keeping us together. You know what I'm saying? There was a whole lot of fires that he had to stand up there on the podium and had to deal with, of things that were going on with the Raiders that that we're still trying to figure out now. But I feel bad that, you know, it's crazy that one thing that you can say, you know, even whether you're a hater or you're an appreciator of DC, one thing that you will say is DC played through injury. You know what I'm saying? He always was available. You know what I'm saying? And it's just ironic that, you know, an injury has taken him out because he's been so durable. You know what I'm saying? I've seen, you know, there was times where we didn't know if he was going to play the next game, and he went out there and held it together. So I don't have any hatred toward DC. I never did. And, you know, for me, I stand on, you know what I'm saying, the words of Al Davis. Once a Raider, always a Raider. Especially a guy like Derek Carr. I think he's one of, you know, he should be, you know, they always talk about the Ring of Honor or whatever, the Ring of whatever, fame or whatever. He should eventually get into that because of what he has done, you know, holding records and the 9 years that he's been with the team.
I appreciate. I'm pretty sure you know what I'm going to say, Twuan, is that through 2016, I was with Derek Carr. I was with him. I was on his back. It didn't slide because, you know, I don't know if I was a select few, but I just jumped on him because I wanted to win. You know, I wanted to win. And it's just not like now I got tired of it. You know, I have to accept the way the Raiders play, and I got to root for him. So it's not that I wasn't rooting for the guy. Obviously, you know, being the best with all the records, I'm cool. I'm good with. He deserves all that. He did it. So the evidence is there. You know, and then what I say, everybody throws stats on me. Everybody does this. Well, Derek Carr was the most passing yards, most completions, most, you know, he leads in everything. You know, even the bad things he leads in. But my emphasis isn't that. My emphasis is that you could do that to me, right? But what football is based in, as far as quarterbacks are concerned, is what, bro? Is what? Is winning. Is winning. And being that, you know, if you could throw for 4,000 yards and all this many touchdowns and whatever and what have you, I appreciate that. But, you know, when we say, you know, it's for the shield, the name on the back doesn't matter. It's just a shield. Then why do we put Derek Carr on his pedestal when he didn't win? You know, and I believe you me, I'm down for him retiring a Raider, give him a 1-day contract and make him a Raider. Fine, that's good. But it's not going to ever change my way of, you know, the people got to realize that we didn't win football games with this guy. And no matter what was around him, if you expected, we cherished what he did so much. If you throw for 4,000 yards and you do have all these people with you on your offense, and you didn't have a defense or whatever. You had people there. You had Khalil Mack there. You had Darren. You had Charles Woodson with you. You had Latavius Murray with you. You had Mike. You know, you had Crabtree with you. You had Amari Cooper with you. Even after the 2016, you know, you had people. You had Josh Jacobs. You know, you had Darren McFadden with you early, and that's when I liked him. That's when I was going from. It's not that I was sitting there bashing Derek Carr sucks and all this stuff. I was like, I'm done with you. You're not winning. You know, and I don't know if I pushed it enough. If you talk about Derek Carr, people get mad at you. People get upset. And all right, okay, look, to satisfy you, I'm gonna say he deserves to be retired as a Raider. I don't have a problem with that. But look at the main stat that everybody talks about, quarterbacks now, right? Is how much did you win? How was you winning? All you did, as far as stats are concerned, you did this. Your top 2 in this, your top 3 in this. And I know that Derek Carr is a 20th all-time quarterback or 20-time quarterback through the years of football. I know that. And the completions, I know that he's 20. He's at 20, he's like that. But when he was on our squad, he didn't win a lot of football. And that we could break down, we could do favors for Derek Carr and put him at a pedestal where he's all at almighty just because he's retiring. Then fine, I let him retire a Raider. I appreciate that. I appreciate what he did for the Raiders as far as him individually, but as people can say, oh, it's a team sport. He didn't have everybody. We're making excuses for Derek Carr, but did he really win? Did he win a football game? Fourth or fifth or something, they comebacks, but did we win those games? Wait, you go 6-9, right? You didn't win football games. You only had 2 winning seasons in his career. But I don't want to push that. I don't want to say that, but they make me say that. They think I hate Derek Carr. I don't hate Derek Carr. I met Derek Carr. I've shook his hand, and I've seen him since he was at Fresno State. Man. Since he was in 8th grade, I watched this kid play at Bakersfield. I watched him in high school at Bakersfield, Christian. And he wasn't that type guy. Ever since 2016 is when he started playing the way he was when he ended. He degressed. There. And that's just if that bothers you, then I'm still gonna say it. I'm not gonna change my mind because you get at me with stats and stuff. But look at really look at how many games did he win and how many games he lost. And then you'll say, well, Gravy is right about that. The stat that matters the most to everybody now is how many games you won. Am I right, Twuan, or not?
I mean, yeah,
you get judged by how many games you won.
That's the metric, and that's why that's maybe I'm just built differently. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of those people that I can say I like Derek Carr, and if someone comes on here and says I hate Derek Carr, I'd be like, okay, I get it too. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't affect, you know what I'm saying? It really doesn't affect, my thought on, how I feel about him or whoever feels about opposite. As in 9 years, look, there's going to be moments that are going to make you, there's going to be moments that are going to make you smile. And there's also in those 9 years, there's going to be moments that are going to make you cry. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. So I get what you're saying. I really do. I'm glad you think that. Like I said, I just give him his props and hey, good luck to you.
I give him props too.
Yeah, good luck to you whatever you decide to do. I know that, he's been doing a lot of ministry stuff. You know what I'm saying? He might do that a little more, and that's fine too. As a Raider fan, but also as a Christian, I've listened to a couple of DC sermons, and what he said, you know what I'm saying?
What he's talking about.
He's good. You know what I'm saying? So look, good luck to you. To be honest with you, and I'll say this, to put it on record, but don't be surprised if you see Derek Carr, at the facilities.
I wouldn't be surprised
in some capacity. It could be, you know what I'm saying, he could come in as a chaplain, he could come in as a, you know what I'm saying, as a special consultant. You know what I'm saying? Don't be surprised that he's not in the room. Because I think Mark Davis, some years back when, like right when DC left, there was some sayings that Mark Davis talked to him about possibly maybe doing something when he actually finally hung it up. So, DC might be around the Allegiant Stadium doing something for us, and I'm cool with that too.
I wouldn't be surprised about that, and he deserves it. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm not saying that. Yeah. It's just that he didn't win. If we and this will probably be. I'm not arguing about it now. People throw his stats at me, and I say, "Well, that's all fine and dandy, but the main stat is how many games did he win?" You know, and how many,
Yeah.
you know, like I say, how many times were you confident in this guy on third down and two that he just didn't like what he seen and threw the ball on the dirt? How many times did that happen? How many times did you get pissed off at Derek Carr because he did that? Me, a bunch of times, and I was just tired of it. I was like, well, do something, Ryan, do something, but he didn't
Yeah.
do it. So that was that. Like right now, Twan, if the Geno Smith takes this team and we go to the playoffs and he wins a game, he already did better than what Derek Carr has ever done.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and I'm going to bring that.
And I take that. Look, that's how low the bar has been. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, whether you talk bad about Derek Carr, whether you praise Derek Carr, the bar still is we haven't won a playoff game. Exactly. And if you look and look at statistically, I hate to say this, but some of the quarterbacks that you guys fall in love with in regards to the Raiders and think that are better, their percentage is actually lower than Derek Carr's.
Yeah.
So because I that's one that blew my mind. I was like, how is Derek Carr's percentage higher than some of these guys that everybody, like, if we ask what your favorite Raider quarterback is, I guarantee you that, and I can guarantee you that their career percentage is lower than Derek Carr's.
Oh yeah.
But that's how low, that's how bad overall our quarterback play has been.
Derek Carr is a standard quarterback that we predict our team to be. Mm-hmm. Wow, Twine. You just said it. Wow. We got to get better at that. Yep. We got to get better at that. You know what I mean? Because I don't want a guy going 62 and 89 through 9 years. Geno Smith last 9 years. I don't want him to be 62 and 92. You know what I mean? And 77 mm-hmm. and 92. Even with Seattle. I want him to have above that. I want to win football games. I'm not satisfied with 6 and 9, 4 and 12, this and that. You see that on this guy's resume. No matter nowadays, if you have a quarterback that can do that, he gets all the blame, and that's just the NFL. How is it different in the content creator world? Because we love somebody. We can't put this. If we sit there and say once a Raider, always a Raider. I get that, bro, because I'm in that shit. And sometimes I'm not, but I'm not saying that he's not a Raider. I've never said that. I've said he deserves to retire a Raider because he didn't do shit with he did more shit with us, even though I don't agree with what he did the last years of his after 2016. He did better than he didn't do no better with the Saints. And he handpicked the Saints. We traded him to somebody he wanted to go to. Or he went to somebody he go to. So it's like he didn't even make them better. And he got the coach fired twice. He got that same coach for Seattle. He got fired twice. He got him fired in fucking Raiders, and he got him fired in the fucking Saints. Not saying that it was his fault, but he was there. So I don't know what you think. But people have been saying, I don't know if they've been on your shows or other shows. I've heard people say Derek Carr is a coach killer. Have you seen that in your shows? I've heard it. I've seen it. And this dude, this guy, Dennis Allen, he got fired twice with Derek Carr as his quarterback. So tell me, how was that not a coincidence? It might be stupid. Gravy says stupid shit, right? So I'm just letting y'all know, is he 62 and 92, 67 and 92? Right? It means something to me. Winning football games mean something. You can be a nice guy and be gospel and be all into that and say, oh, I love this guy. I love it. Take the blame all you want, dude, but do something about it. Do something about it, And quarterbacks will be able to put that on their shoulders and win football games. I just think it's different. I think different. And not that I don't like to do. He like Gabe said, he said it great. It's not personal with me, but he let me down, Twan. What I expected from him, he let me down. And I shouldn't be that way, but I am. When it comes to the Raiders, bro. I'm that passionate about my team. So it's misconstrued sometimes, bro. But let's get off Derek Carr, bro. He's just retiring. He deserves to retire a Raider, and I'll appreciate that. I would even go watch it and clap him.
To him and his family, yeah.
I would clap that he's a Raider, and that's good. He needs to be in the facility and have his vibe in there, because I'm sure he's a wonderful man, and then I'm sure he preaches what he does. He loves everybody, and I've seen the guy longer than some people have, just as a Raider. I've seen the guy. He lives in Fresno, bro. Yet he has himself out there. He has a church here. He has a church that he was building in Vegas, and that didn't go away. That didn't go away. So it's just different the way I would feel, and it's weird that I don't. It's not that I don't like the guy. I don't hate the guy. When he was a Raider, he just didn't do shit for me. And just by me saying that, people go, "Oh my God, you hate the Derek Carr?" Well, if you're the type person that says shield over name, then don't be doing this, bro. If you were with the Shield, he didn't do shit for the Shield, and you're changing, you're mix matching, you're witch washing. To me, you are, and that's my opinion, and I can have that. I wouldn't be doing this shit if I didn't have my opinion. And I'm like that, Twuan. I'll argue with anybody about Derek Carr. I don't care. I'll argue with him. Why'd you throw the ball? Why'd you throw the ball to that dude against the Cincinnati Bengals when he was triple covered and he wasn't even close to the fucking end zone? Why did you do that, Derek? What was on your mind when Darren Waller was wide open in the middle of the field? What happened? You didn't see him? He probably would say, "Yeah, I didn't see him." So you just throw it to a guy that's triple covered on the ground, basically. I don't know. I just would ask him that.
And it's funny because I think now you'll see more of some of that stuff, some of the stuff back then that we were wondering, some of that stuff will come out because he is retired.
Yeah.
So
I don't think he's gonna blame himself though. He could be all like it's my fault, put it on me. He's that type guy.
Yeah. He's always been that guy.
Yeah.
And that's why, I try to give him, the props for that, because it takes a lot. Think about the totality of, his career and all the BS. Not even, what I'm saying? Not his quarterback play, but all the other BS that was going on with the organization, and who was always up at the podium, having to answer those questions. It was him. He had to stand there when Ruggs killed somebody. He had to stand there.
Yeah.
He had to stand there when Gruden had emails. The whole 2021 season, that we went to the playoffs. That was because Gruden got fired, and who kept that team together?
Exactly.
So
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
I'm just into what it boils down to, bro. Is just
it wasn't the best, but
yeah,
you still gotta appreciate.
And we got people. I blame Mark Davis. All eyes on G. Blame Mark Davis.
And we got rid of Derek Carr, and we still looking for a quarterback.
So what's your, to get off that? What's your envision of Geno's year?
I think Geno is he's coming. People talk about him being old. I don't think that's the case. I think with Geno, he's been holding the clipboard. You know what I'm saying? So he doesn't have all those snaps on him like that. But I think he's in a place where he can be that starter for us and keep the team together. Now, am I going to ask for Geno to throw the ball, 40 times a game? No, please don't.
About that long.
You know what I'm saying? But I think we'll be better at the quarterback position than what we've had in the past. You know what I'm saying? The Minshew's and the Garoppolos and the you-knows and whoever else wants to go. You know, so I think with Geno, of course, he has the legs, and that was one of the things that I was kind of looking at in regards to this team is I don't want Geno to have to run every single play. I want this O-line to hold up enough to where he can sit in the pocket and get it to a Jack Best. You know what I'm saying? I want him to be able to hey, O-line hold this because I'm letting Trey and Dante Thornton get down the field for me. I don't want as soon as the ball is snapped, our quarterback has to run for his life. And I don't, as much as, like I said, Geno has that ability, yes, to get out the pocket and use his legs, I don't want to see him using his legs on every play. Because that just means that he's a Band-Aid. We got somebody that could run because our O-line sucks.
When this not last year, right?
Yeah, and that was the whole Minshew thing, right? The whole reason why Minshew came in was because he could run, he can move, he can, you know what I'm saying? And we know this offensive line can't hold up. Well, let's fix the offensive line so whoever can sit back there and throw the ball with accuracy.
Yeah,
whether he has legs or not. You know, and you know, that's kind of my overall theme in regards to the Raiders is like, you know, that, you know, when you're talking about, you know, a free agents of, you know, moving, just keeping it no, we need to get better. Yeah. We need to bring in guys that are better. The O-line needs to be better. The running backs need to be better. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't just be content with what we have. Because what we have, to be honest with you, ain't good.
What do you think?
4-13 ain't good, y'all.
What do you think about the obviously the running game not being there was a very, very bad deficit for a guy like Aiden O'Connell. Minshew, I've always said that, bro. When has Minshew played like that? You know. When did we see Minshew, no matter what, you know, what he did, and before us, we didn't see Minshew play like that. I don't know if it was a starting role and then he couldn't handle that, but he ended up getting hurt and he ain't with us no more. So that was a quick decision right there. That was the best thing that we did. You know, he didn't play well with us, but I was excited with Minshew because he could do that, what you said, and it was just, hey man, we didn't see Minshew played that bad when he was on other teams.
I think the issue with Minshew is you're right. We didn't see Minshew play like that because of the other pieces that were around Minshew with these other teams. I think some of these teams actually were a little better than what we thought. And because he came over here and we were expecting for him to save the day, that wasn't him. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have the save the day, you know what I'm saying, all the time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You can't expect Minshew to do that for you. And that's what we were doing. And that's what we do with a lot of our players. We bring them over, free agency or whatever, and we expect for them to save our lives. Mm-hmm. Because everything else around them ain't right. No, you still got to fix everything else around them to make that quarterback good. Yeah. And I think that's where it all fell apart was we were expecting for him to save the day where we're weak and he just wasn't that. I don't think, you know, to be honest with you, like we talk about like the
they
Lamar.
Get no help. They get no help with the, like I said, the running game. The offensive line was getting tossed around all over the place, and then it was just a play of them. You know, just a play. I'm not making excuses for it. We sucked. They didn't play good at all, and we just had to support these guys, and that was just bad, bro. It was just bad.
Yeah.
And I know that Geno's the type guy to. That's why my expectations on players really got diminished. Twine. I'm not predicting records. I'm
Mm.
not saying this guy is gonna get this or this guy's gonna get that. I could say that, hey, me saying that, I know I could sense what this staff is doing with you know with the players that they're getting, because it's different. It's different vibe that we're getting, because the type of players that we're getting rid of and the type of players that he's getting is guys that he wants to be for this team, and he has time to do it. And I think we're going to give him that time if we're successful. But being that we go to coaches that don't have experience, and I was on the same hype with AP as everybody else was, and I just don't. Once I started seeing the bad that was coming out, I just wasn't digging it. But I was always support the Raiders. I would always support what they're doing, and I ride on guys that are for the Raiders, that are playing for the Raiders, and I just hope that. But they always comes back to where I was right about them. That's what it seems. We're always people say, Mitchell ain't worth the shit, this and that, this and that," and I tell them, "You were right, bro. You were right." You know. And then our savior was Aiden O'Connell, and I was no, 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 and no, this can't be. He's not what. And that's a McDaniel's guy, and we keep having this guy hang around, hang around. That's gonna be a different type speed with Geno, even with Geno and Aiden O'Connell. That's why they got picked, these guys. That's why they picked who they got late. That's why we got the kid from Las Vegas. He's an athlete. This kid at San Diego, North Dakota, he's an athlete. Aiden O'Connell is an athlete. Although he can run the RPO.
Don't forget about that UNLV quarterback.
Yeah, I'm excited about him. But he's a one offense type guy. He ran that offense very well. It's an offense that just was designed a couple years ago. His offensive coordinator designed and made up that offense. It's called go-go offense. And just a situation he was in. He was a backup. The starting guy took off with the NIL shit. He bounced. And he went in there and ran that offense to a T. Very quarterback-friendly offense. It's an offensive. That go-go offense is I hope we see that type in the pros. It's going to be a couple years before it integrates in. But I hope people do it. And I'm studying it now. I'm studying it now to bring it to high school, and that's where it's probably going to start, because it's hard to get it. It's hard to get plays or formations from this guy, because he doesn't do seminars. He doesn't do things like that, but he wants to get it going. And it got going. He's a head coach now at Sacramento State, and they're so excited about it. Sacramento State got like $50 million in NIL help. And now I'm grossing the most, and I knew about this a long while back. Sacramento State's on the come up, so they got money to pay every big player in California. So they might snatch these dudes from USC. They got two guys from Fresno already. Our best football players in Fresno. The Central Valley got massive football talent, and they're plucking these dudes from there, going to Sacramento State. Sacramento State over USC, UCLA, Fresno State. They're getting these guys. They're following this guy because it makes them better. I'm excited about that.
Every time I look on social media, I always hear, because for some reason it pops up on my phone, but every once in a while I'll see, Sacramento just added another person. You know what I'm saying? Sacramento just added this wide receiver. Sacramento just added this. You know what I'm saying? So they're building out that team over there.
And they got money. And nowadays, with the NIL, they got money.
Mm-hmm.
They got the money to pay people, and that's what that's what the NIL. I think I don't know what your view on it, Twuan, if you don't even want to get at this. It's like the NIL is messing up football. You're gonna see the effects of this. Maybe this draft, we're gonna see the effects of the NIL money, that these guys are getting paid a lot of money out of high school where they ain't did shit, right? And going to different colleges, going to different schemes, and not really knowing the fundamentals of basic football at a university for for longevity. Getting coached by the same guy means a lot than having 4 different guys. There's guys that have done 3 colleges in the 9 months, 8 months, just because they got paid $100,000 more or whatever. That's not the way it should be. I don't think so. That's not the way it should be. So
I mean, that's right now. That's the name of the game. Like you're telling me, because some of these guys, some of these bigger guys that are in college, they're making more than what you're going to make in your rookie contract.
Yeah.
Even if you made the first round. So you're telling me I'm making $5 million, you know what I'm saying, at college, and I got another year of availability that I could make another $5 million.
Like, do it. Do it.
I might stay in college. You know what I'm saying? And I can't blame them for that. Like, you're telling me I can make $5 million, and that $5 million can change my family's. You know what I'm saying? I could buy mom a house. You know what I'm saying? So she ain't got to worry about it anymore. Worry about paying rent. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of there's a whole lot of factors that play into this money that's being thrown at these players now. And yeah, that's the name of the game.
Yeah. Shador Sanders, for instance, he got a massive pay cut, being a 5th round pick, and then what he got in college.
Yeah.
Massive.
Huge cut.
You know, Hunter, the thing about Hunter, man, it was on my chat. It was in my chat. But it was like, hey, dude, this dude, I don't know if he's that special to do what players did in the past. He's athletic enough. You know, he's a damn good football player. People moved up to get this guy, number 2, I believe. But check this out, bro. If you got to go out there and play corner, right, and cover Chase, right? Chase gets a, you know, well, picture this, bro. He goes out there and gets Trevor Lawrence throws him a pass and he drops it. You got to go out there, forget about that, and then come over here and cover, you know, Jamal Chase, and then get burnt on a freaking deep route. You know, that's going to be hard to do, bro, as far as college football is concerned. Over and over. 100 snaps a day is going to be, you ain't be able to hang with that. That's why people just have their own priority. Maybe Jacksonville said you're going to do it. But just picture that when we say that, you know, he can do it. He can do it. I just think it's different. There you go, showing Twuan some love. Put that in there. Put Twuan in there.
Yeah, I think with Travis, I think, you know, they're going to play it by ear. You know, I think they're going to, you know, they're trying to test him
scenario, bro? Did you see my scenario that I put out there? You know, we got to cover. You got to cover. You know, Chase, or you got to cover Amon-Ra, and then he burns you. He burns you for a touchdown. You know, 50 yards. Then you got to go. All right, I got to go out there and catch a ball.
Got to get that touchdown back.
Over. That's tough to do, bro.
Yeah, it is. It is. But
you're getting booed because you're getting booed because you dropped the pass, because the expectations of you was high, and then you can't cover a guy because he blows you up in the defense. That's a double whammy, bro. It's gonna affect you. It's gonna affect you. It cannot. It has to. Unless you're tough like that. But you just expect it. Just expect that. And I'm gonna say it, that if he ends up saying this is my primary, I wouldn't expect it within a year or 2, because he's gonna try it out. Much love to you for doing that, but you got to be a special type dude to do that. 100 plays a game for 18. Physically, the NFL game that long, being a corner and a receiver, getting beat up like that, and then you make the exception. Oh, I got to take some plays off. You know, you're expected to play. You know, you want to do that. Yeah.
I think they're going to play it by ear. And hey, look, I drafted you. If I was the Jaguars, look, I drafted you to be either or. I drafted you to be either a lockdown corner or one of the top wide receivers in this league. Now, what benefits them is I think Brian Thomas is going to be the number one wide receiver for them. So that means Travis Hunter will technically be number 2, which means that the number 2 corner will most likely be on Travis. So it might help out just a little bit, but hey, look, if I was the Jaguars, I'd be like, I drafted you to either be a corner and be a really good corner or a very good wide receiver, but we're going to test you out on both, because if you can be both for us, I'm with that too.
Even better, bro. It's been they tried it out, you know, and with like little spurts, little packages. I can understand that, but
because we never really seen that before.
Never, it's never been done,
especially in the NFL.
Yeah, and no, especially in the NFL. It can be done in college. We've seen him do that, but it's different. Colorado against Colorado State is different, but the receivers in the NFL is way different than. Yeah, we have to think that Woodson did it, but he wasn't an all-time. He did that in college. I never seen Woodson play offense and seen him kick return. Champ Bailey did it for a little bit, but Champ Bailey is known for being a corner. Charles Woodson is known for being a DB, and it happens with DBs, and I know that, Twuan, because what I said before is that those guys are special. DBs are the athletes of football, and that's why I'm so inspired to look at what they do, because they're special guys as far as football is concerned. Cornerbacks and DBs are special people when as far as football is concerned. Different guys, real smart. Like I said, they're gifted with a lot of things that normal football players aren't. You can be big and fast and have long arms and do all that. Okay, God gave you that, but corners got more gift. They got more vision and strength and stuff like that.
They got to run.
I hope he's successful at it. Be the first one to ever do it, and hope he blossoms into that.
I'm glad, but I'll say this too, Gravy. I'm glad, because you have to think about this psychologically too. If he wakes up in the morning, as a child, and says, I want to be a corner and a wide receiver, good that you dreamed about that. But don't kill the dream. Let him try to play that out. Exactly, and then let him make the decision, okay, maybe I just need to play corner. But don't just say this is what you're going to do, and there's no way, there's no way around it. Let him try to figure that out so he can be okay with the result at the end. And who knows? Like I said, who knows? He might actually be that guy.
Exactly. Might as well try it out.
In NFL, might as well try it out. First player in the history to play both sides in a full-time capacity. Like, Like, let the kid do his thing, and let the chips fall where it may. I'll just say this: no matter where it falls, you're winning, because if he doesn't become a corner, but he becomes that wide receiver, now you got a good wide receiver. If he doesn't become that good wide receiver, you definitely got a good corner. So it's a win-win.
It's a win-win. But if you focus on one, it'll be better for you. But if you get both of them, it'll be triple. Maybe it'll be the best football player in the land. You know what I mean? Because who could do that? At 100, 180 plays a game, if he does the same shit he does in the pros, like he did in college for years, he'll be the best athlete in football ever had. In my view, if he's the only one to do that. And very rarely, it took 70 years, 75, almost 80 years for a player to do that. To do that many plays in a game. I don't think anybody has ever do that. Finish playing receiver, then go play corner. That's what he said he wants to do. Right after, You go 3 and out, boom, you're playing defense after the punt. You know what I mean? That's
Yep.
tough to do. Even that 4 play span right there is a lot, bro. Because you got to really, really how much they're giving on every play. They're giving a lot. They're selling out every play, Twan. And then you got to go play offense. Then you got to run routes. You know, we're gonna slow down our offense because Trevor's a little bit tired. We're gonna slow our offense down. They ain't gonna do that for you. They ain't gonna do that for you.
Yeah.
We're not gonna slow down. And Trevor's not in there, so let's run the football.
The only break he's
that.
gonna get is special teams.
Yeah, that's it. But if he does that, I'll appreciate him even more. That's we do shit like that. You do stuff like that for 3, 4, 5 years without getting injured and taking the heat of getting burnt or dropping footballs or things like that. If you can do that, you're Hall of Famer right from the get. You should still be playing and be in the Hall of Fame if you do shit like that. Never happened. You're still playing. You're still playing for Jacksonville. You're in your 5th year. You're already in the Hall of Fame. They should give you a jacket. They should give you a jacket already if you do shit like that because nobody's never done that.
Nobody, and I don't think anybody else is going to do that.
Not yet. Ain't no player in college doing that yet. Getting recognized like he did. No, he has a lot to back up because he was the best recruit and out of high school. He could have went anywhere he wanted. He was they didn't even have any stars on him because he was a 5-star recruit, but he 6 or 7. That's what they said. And then he showed it because he won the Heisman. It benefited him. Played great. Actually, to me, I thought he made Shedeur Sanders what he was because he was the best receiver of Colorado. Besides Horn. Horn was a good receiver for him, but I watched Colorado, bro. I watched Shedeur Sanders. And I wasn't with the Raiders getting him because I was the one saying that he wasn't what he was. And I didn't expect him to fall to the 5th round. But I thought he was around the 2nd round. I thought he was around the 2nd round. And there was other players that were better than he was. Quarterback-wise. And I thought it was jacked up what happened to him. And I heard you, Twuan. Me and you were kind of similar that we thought something was wrong here. It wasn't his play. It was something else.
Yeah.
But, I think that to me, in the way that I am, and that I didn't want it to be a racial thing, Twuan. I was hoping. Then I knew it wasn't because the number 1 pick in the draft was a black quarterback. You know what I mean? So I kind of said, you know what? It can't be racial because if the NFL wanted to do that, it was different. Then I started saying, well, maybe it was his dad or maybe it was him because he didn't look like he really gave a shit at the combine. He acted, his demeanor was like that. And the interview process is very, very important to these organizations because, they know all about you already. They know all about that. They've been looking at you since you was at Jackson State. They know all about you. These scouts were watching you then. And there ain't no secret with them. They got retired federal agents checking you out. They got people like that in the NFL that check these people out. They know what you did in the 3rd grade, in 8th grade, who you were messing with in the 8th grade, if you got busted for anything. Maybe you stole that candy bar at the liquor store. What happened with that?
Uh-oh.
They come with shit like that, bro. I've been told they do. I got about 3 or 4 friends that played in the league, and they asked them questions. I remember your mama, heard your mom was, but like deep questions that'll get to you to get you pissed off on purpose, to bring that up on purpose and see how you would react.
And wasn't it? There was somebody that I forgot who it was, but they asked one player about it. I was like,
that's messed up. But they want to know
what does his mom being a hoe got to do with him playing football? They
want to see your reaction, how you're going to react to that. If you're the type guy to get mad about that, then what are you going to do on my field when things don't work out for you? And that's just it's like a interrogation type method that they do.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it's all about. How do you manage yourself? And I was told this, Twuan. How do you manage yourself during situations like that? And so what I think is that, Shedeur Sanders was used to his father being there around him. He coached him in Pee Wees. He coached him in junior high. He coached him in high school, college. You know, when he came to a situation like that, he was boxed into these people that he doesn't know, the people that he's not used to, and where's my dad? How come my dad can't give me the advice? So he had to come up front, and he probably just said, whatever he did, rub people the wrong way. And when a team finds out about that, they let everybody else know. GMs are calling each other, right? This dude, he ain't with it. I question this. I question that. Oh yeah, okay. I seen that in him too. Then your mind starts processing, and then it didn't work out his way. But what he needs to do is take advantage of his opportunity and blow that shit out the water. And I hope Shedeur Sanders is successful in it. It's going to be a tough, long road. He ain't going to handle these opportunities, because if the Cleveland Browns do their shit right, make them earn that shit. Make them say, hey, I'm just a normal Joe Blow here. I got to beat out Joe Flacco. And that might be easy, but Joe Flacco wins football games. And Joe Flacco's a Super Bowl champ. You know what I mean? And so, who else they got? Trubisky is a decorated veteran that knows his shit. And then you got Watson over there, supreme athlete that getting super duper money, but he's hurt. He's not playing to his potential, but that just those little knacks. He's old. He's the only guy you got to mess with. Dylan. Dylan Gabriel. That's all you got to beat out. And Watson, and it should be easy for him to do. He should think that way. Have the confidence you have, but in a football way. Focus on this is what I'm going to do. Forget what's around you. Focus on football. And that shouldn't be hard for him because he has it in his pedigree, bro. The confidence of him and his dad is exactly the same. When Dion was there, we seen it, Twuan. He acts just like his dad, but his dad was a way supreme talent. We didn't think this way about Shedeur Sanders. We just said he's good. He's a Sanders. He proved it on the field, and he got docked for what his dad was. It was dad said about him, dictating where his son was going to go. I didn't like that. You don't do that. And I don't know what Dion's relationship with the NFL is or with teams, but that'll drop me off of him. They'll say, nah, I don't want that. I don't want that Deion Sanders around here. That's not the way we roll. But Dion was a different dude.
Yeah, it seems like the reports that have been coming out recently have that, Shedeur is actually doing well at camp. You know what I'm saying? He's actually, shining, in camp, not just at the podium, but he's actually throwing the ball well and doing everything. You know what I'm saying? There's actually some video that came out, and I was like, man.
Yeah, I seen him spinning it. Some of
those throws, I'm like, yeah, that's it. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully he continues with that, and there's a competition there, and who knows? He might be a starter by week 8. It's a possibility because especially over there in that room, you have Deshaun Watson. He's not there. He's a non-factor. Then you have Flacco. He's the starter, and then behind that is Pickett and Dylan Gabriel. So there's a chance that Shedeur could beat out Gabriel in camp. You know what I'm saying? And then Pickett is not really anybody to, really to be scared of. So there might be a possibility that Shedeur be the backup quarterback. And with Joe Flacco being, Joe Flacco, is he going to be able to last 17 games? So there might be a possibility that we see Shedeur starting for, what I'm saying?
Underestimate these old men, bro. They still got it in them. He might go, he might come out there, balls hanging out there, just start slinging it again, bro.
Look,
you know what I mean?
I look, I don't see it. I don't see old Joe Flacco holding up.
I said that 3 years ago, and he's over here taking a team to the freaking playoffs and winning football games, bro.
Hey, but that was, he came off the couch, and he came off the couch.
To do that,
but it wasn't the whole 17 games.
Nah, it wasn't. He's good at spurts. You need a guy to pump you up a little bit, get you some wins. He'll do that.
Yeah.
But on the long run, I don't see that happen. And then the injury that he's in a perfect situation, but he's on such a bad team, bro. The he's not going to win quickly. He's not, maybe he can. Maybe he can. And just the interview process, I think, is what hurt him. And that dragged him down. It wasn't the play. I know I didn't want him on our team because just imagine as soon as Geno did something bad, I could just hear the whole stadium or on TV saying, "Put in Shedeur Sanders." Put in Shedeur Sanders, just like we were with O'Connell. I said, Minshew ain't gonna have a chance because the first time he messes up, Aiden O'Connell. You know what I mean? Aiden O'Connell. But that was Minshew. I think Shedeur Sanders is better than Minshew. In my book. But I didn't want him on our team. Like Gabe was, pick him sixth. Get him six. Oh, that guy, Gabe, our running game was so bad. He couldn't stop me from saying that.
But I'll say this too, and I love Gabe, but Gabe was the same one that was because I remember some of Gabe's takes, and one of Gabe's takes was F them picks. So we know how Gabe feels about getting a quarterback in the room. So that's probably another reason why he felt like that with Shedeur. I wouldn't have been mad at Shedeur at 6. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Because I feel like I said, I would like for us to get that quarterback of the future. You know what I'm saying? I would like for that guy to be in our room already. And right now we don't have that person.
If Miller was that guy, and we have to jump on the back of this Miller kid. He's a successful college player. And are we going to be down for Aiden O'Connell? Like, I think the Raider, he's done good stuff. I'm not knocking Aiden O'Connell, but to me, that's not the type quarterback that I want. With Chip Kelly, it doesn't mesh, it doesn't make sense. But he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. He got that already, and he's just not for me with Chip Kelly. With anybody else, the other offensive coordinator came and it's a drop back guy that's protected well, fine. But Chip Kelly's not like that. Chip Kelly puts his offensive lineman in situations to where the quarterback doesn't need to watch his back. He's moving. He's doing something. He's going somewhere. He's not standing in the middle of the pocket, as far as the pro level is concerned. He had that guy at Ohio State he had two of the best running backs in college football handing the ball off to him. And then he had a dominant wide receiver, all top 3-round picks. So he had it made there, He had it made there. But I hope that he's successful. I'm rooting for him. On the under, I'm rooting for Shedeur Sanders. But if we would have got him late, or we would have picked him at 5 in the 5th round, I would have had no problem with him. But all that means, hey man, this kid's gonna be motivated. He's gonna push some people. He didn't push O'Connell. He'll push O'Connell. I would have been happy with that.
Because that's exactly, what I'm saying. I'm glad you said that because that's exactly what Shedeur is doing over there in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. He's pushing everybody in that quarterback room. Everybody in that quarterback room is put on notice. You know what I'm saying? Flacco, you know what I'm saying? As much as he's the starter, you know what I'm saying? He's like, look, I better throw this ball good. I better, you know what I'm saying? I better call protections right because these guys, Shedeur for sure, but these guys behind me, they created a competition. Can we say that about the room that we have? So that just shows you where we are, depth wise, but also, the totality of that room. It has to get better. And you're telling me a 6th-round pick. I'm not trying to throw shade on it, but you're trying to tell me a 6th-round pick is going to make that much noise? I don't know.
I think we got a development guy. I think we're gonna stick with Aiden O'Connell. God, I hope that doesn't last long. But I was concerned with the quarterbacks. I thought we would get one not that late, but fourth round, fifth round, something like that. But we got the quarterbacks at six, and somebody we got in the seventh, I wanted in the fourth round. You know what I mean? But I would take Thornton. I would take that big guy. Maybe he would have been there. Maybe you don't know what they were hearing or how far was he down there. I don't know, but I would have liked to take somebody around there, a quarterback there, or if not super early. But I was with Genty. There's no way going around that. We were the 32nd rushing team, and you can't. That was embarrassing, especially for me as a running back coach. Bro. That was embarrassing for my favorite team being 32nd. We've never been that. We didn't have the statistics ever in the history of football. No one's ran the ball worse than we did. Even on pass-happy teams, they had better stats rushing on pass-happy teams. Then when Randall Cunningham was there, Dan Marino was there. It goes back that far. When passing game came to fruition in the NFL, and in the 80s it started getting better. 90s it was run the football again. We go through spurts where we need to run the football, then it goes every couple of years, then pass-happy teams come back. They get a new offense or philosophy. Right now it's running the football. It's always been that way. That's never changed, Twuan. Football's never changed as far as running the ball. You have to do that to take time off your clock, and I would love games to be 2.5 hours, bro. Run the clock, run the football, run the clock. Be a 7. If we don't get the 20 points and we run the football up your ass, and we get 17 to 10 wins, 17 points to 10, I'll take that all day. If we ran the football for 200 yards each game, doing that, throw the ball for like 250. I would love that. The clock is running. You're getting first downs. The quarterback, the badass quarterback, Mahomes is on the sideline just all pissed off because he can't get the football. I love that, man. Watching them be all like sad and shit because we can't stop. They can't stop the run. I love games like that.
And it puts more pressure on those quarterbacks too, because when they actually do go out there on the field, then they have more pressure to, I got to get this done. I got to get this. You know what I'm saying? Like you now you're playing with them, not physically, but you're playing with them mentally. You know what I'm saying? That quarterback is pressure, has more pressure now because he knows that he better score now, because if he don't know when's the next time he's going to be on the field.
Exactly. You better take advantage of and that's what Chip Kelly is a mastermind of, bro. That's why that's what he's a master. Okay, you want to stop my run? Well, here's some play action to go with that. You want to stop Genty? Tell you Genty's getting busy. You want to stop Genty? You want to put 8 in the box? I'm gonna sucker you with this, fake the Genty, and boom, there's Brock Bowers going through the seam right there wide open. And try to have a little DB try to tackle Brock Bowers. You're gonna flick him out like a fly, bro, with the fly swatter. You're gonna get out my face. Ain't nobody gonna get him. That 260 pounds of fast ass shit running at you, bro, that wants to hit you. He ain't avoiding you. He ain't gonna avoid your little ass. Or God forbid a guy like Myers get it, or Mayer. Michael Mayer get that ball, boy. That's 290, 80 pounds coming at you with the full blast. What's up? Try to get some of this.
But that's another reason why I'm so I know some people were talking about getting rid of Michael Mayer, but I'm like, dude, why are you gonna get rid of Michael Mayer? Like he's the guy where, you know what I'm saying, hey, you get Michael Mayer on. I'm just seeing him blocking for Genty. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's see him go out and flex out and block somebody to get Genty to the touchdown. You know what I'm saying? You need those type of physical guys, and Michael Mayer, yes, he can catch the ball, but he's a good blocker.
Awesome blocker. People don't see it. We're remember when we were so hyped up on the
Lee Smith?
Huh?
You talking about Lee Smith?
Nah, we were so hyped up about the 12 personnel, right?
Oh, got it. Yeah.
But if you really know what that is, we got the old, put 2 tight ends right there. But you gotta have You got to have a formation with that, bro. It's just like, oh, you got 2 tight ends, but the formation of what you put out there, it involves the 12 personnel. We just like, oh, you got 2 tight ends, that's it. You got 2 badass tight ends, but that's it. 12 personnel. You got 1 running back and 2 tight ends. Okay, that's fine. But what are you doing spread out? Who's the spread out guy? It could be side by. It could be 1 on one side and 1 on the other side. That's a double stack. It's not 12 personnel. But the way they make the misconception about that is that you got to have a formation with that 12 personnel. You can have a 12 personnel with different schemes, different formations, and just say it right. You got to know football to what that means. You just say, oh, we got Michael Mayer and we got Brock Bowers side by side. One's blocking and one's going on a route. It could be vice versa. It could be different. You could run play on it, and you can run but what formation is it in? You're on 3-by-2, 2-by-3. Well, what are you in? 3-by-1. You can still do that. You can still not have a running back and still be spread out and have 2 tight ends in there. But it's different. You got to know what you're saying. But people got so hot on this topic. 12 personnel. And okay, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
I never said nothing about that because I know a lot of people don't know football. They just
are you going to keep one in line or are you going to flex one out?
Yeah.
What you going to do?
Go put them in motion. You're going to do whatever. Yeah. 12 personnel is more than just saying it. You use it for a reason. I'm going to put Michael Myers and Buck Bauer next to each other, and then that's it. It's over with. They can't cover that. Oh, yes, they can.
Yeah.
Yes, they can. But what other things are you going to do with that? Where's your receiver at? Where's your running back? You have 2 receivers in the back. You have two. That'd be a 22, but it's different. What are you going to? That's why sometimes I don't get mad at people for not knowing what that is because some people don't know football. They just love their team and they say, "Oh, we got 2 good players." I understand that. I appreciate that. But when you get somebody in your chat say, "Whoa, with 12 personnel, Brock Bowers is going to have a field day." So can Asin-Genti can have a field day in 12 personnel. Michael Mayer can have a field day in 12 personnel. And I wouldn't want to be somebody tackling Michael Mayer on a seam route or a little skinny post or in when he has the ball. That would be a bad decision on your part if you're a little guy. You're a linebacker maybe. But that dude's a big dude. Michael Mayer's a big dude.
Yeah, he still has a whole lot to the table, and he's on his rookie contract. So why mess with somebody that's actually, saying, I know that he's dealt with some, I'll just say personal issues. I'll just leave that for that. But he was dealing with personal issues, but outside of that, he's fine. Keep him here. Yes, I know we got Brock Bowers, but there's a benefit of having Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer.
And you know what's good about it, Twuan, is that Chip Kelly knows that. That's why we ain't getting rid of the dude. Look, if you're going to get some outrageous shit from Michael Mayer as a business decision, I understand that. But as a rookie, people would love to have that. He just hasn't produced what we think he should be. But when McDaniels got him, his vision was to be a blocking tight end. Hey, man, you're just like our Gronk. But you're faster. You can catch the ball. He just didn't get opportunity with that. Just imagine Chip Kelly with this dude. Just imagine Chip Kelly. Investigate. It bit to my chat. There was more people in here, just investigate what Chip Kelly would do with the tight end and just advance it. Just put it at a higher level in the pros. What he's doing this with the tight end, he's doing that with the tight end, and then you'll see the thing that will go through your head what Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers would do. And then if Asin-Genti gets rolling, bro. Yeah. If Asin-Genti and Mostert, or they even fucking Zamir White, or Sincere McCormick, if they even get rolling, bro, if we get that going. Oh my God! You can just imagine the play action with these guys, bro. You can imagine that. I just hope it happens, Twuan. I'm so pumped up to see it. Offensively, that's the type guy I am, but I know how to stop myself. Yeah, defensively, I know how to stop myself. Like I know what defense are going to do to Chip Kelly, and I hope they don't do it. But he just his adjustments, his in-game adjustments, because everybody has this notion, Twuan, that, oh man, his halftime adjustments is no, it ain't that way in the NFL. It's on the spot, second adjustments. You don't go in there and then change your whole play, your whole game plan at halftime. You could do it, but the right there, right in then, can you do that? We got coaches that could do that.
Yeah.
It looked like we made halftime adjustments because our offensive coordinator didn't know. He didn't know. Norv Turner did, you know. But his son really did. He was asking his dad. Well, that's why our running game got a little bit better when Norv Turner came to our team, bro.
And also Joe Philbin was working with that offensive line. You know what I'm saying?
I was going to say that.
Yeah. That change actually made because it was funny because as soon as the Turners really started taking over and then Philbin went to the offensive line, our offense, I'm not going to say that it was, back to perfect or anything, but it looked better than what we was dealing with.
And it wasn't just because, it wasn't just because Sincere McCormick was a better running back. It was a scheme of things that Philbin did. He kept those guys together, bro. Yeah, they were injured. But you've seen not the moving around, bro. He kept Meredith in there. He took Parham out. He gave Miller a healthy. He sat Miller down and said, "Get healthy, dude. Get healthy. You still got shoulder problems. I'm not going to put you in there because you're Miller. Get healthy." He moved. He kept JPJ, and then now JPJ's playing what he was decorated to be. He's decorated to be a center, and I hope they do that. I hope they keep him there.
Please. And that's that was one of the things I was really pounding the table on, because I know earlier in the season they were talking about, we were gonna JPJ might need to go back to guard. Like, no, like, he's a rookie. Let him stay where he's at and let him perfect that. Like, stop bouncing these players around and expecting for them to do the job. Like, if he's a center, let him perfect being a center. If he's a guard, let him perfect being a guard. But don't do this musical chairs thing, because we've already seen that happen. We saw that with McDaniels that year that he was doing a musical chair at O-line, and how well was our O-line then?
And what I say, Twuan, is that we cannot do this. We cannot. We can do that shit during preseason, bro. But game one, I got the notion last year. Well, the just give it a couple of games and all this stuff, bro. I don't like that, Twuan. I don't like that saying, bro. I don't like saying, give it a couple of games. We got to adjust to our offense. That shit should be done. That shit should be done on OTAs. You know what I mean? That shit should be game one. You gotta be ready to go, bro. They no moving around. Somebody get hurt, I understand. But you don't sit there and start moving stuff around because it ain't work out for you. Let them play it out. Let them get reps and let them do that during preseason. Figure out your offensive line, have it set, and then go with the best people you got game one, not moving around. You might be wrong on how you have people out there, but you got to get that done. I don't want to wait 3-4 games to figure out the offense. This ain't pee-wees, bro. You dudes are getting paid a lot of money. They got to get it set, and then we'll be happy. We would talk about good shit. It's hard to talk about the Raiders right now being a content creator, Twuan. Isn't it? Isn't it? It's hard for me because I say bad shit, bro. I say, what is wrong with this? I'm not no Mr. Goody Two Shoes and saying, I love this and I love that, and everything is wrong. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to say what's wrong with this running game. The running game fucking sucks. And I would say that. People love Sincere. People love Sincere McCormick. People love Lobe. People love this. People love it. Ain't going to work out, bro. We need a running back. We could the best running backs on the table right there. We could get them, but we want to drop down 4 spots with Dallas because they need a running back and they want to go get the guy we want, But we're the last place running offense in the league last year. What point is that? Get the best guy, and that's what we did. And I was happy that I almost popped my stitches in my belly, dude, because we got
Don't do that, man.
I know. I know.
Don't do that, man. Hey, but
Yeah,
I get it though. I do.
I was so happy. I was so happy, bro, that happened.
Hopefully, like I said, hopefully this O line gets it together because
Yeah,
you
they need
know
to.
we do now. We know that we got now we got Ashton, and we know that Ashton is a good back. We need to get that O line opening up them gaps so we can get it in.
And I'll be curious to see because Chip Kelly does a lot of different schemes up front, but his protections, his protections on what he did in the pros and collegiately, that don't change that much. And it's just the players do that. We got better players than he had at Ohio State, and we know that. And I just hope that he puts these guys in situations where they'll move bodies and then the division is ready for that. Our division got better, Twuan. Those teams in our division got better. We have to worry about Najee Harris and Omari and Hampton. We got to worry about Bo Nix and who they got. You know what I mean? And it's gonna be tough, bro. But we have to win playoff. We have to win our division. We have to win division games, bro. We have to. We have to. And I know these guys are worried about our front defensively. They're worried about it. They're saying, hey, man, this coach got 8 sacks in 8 games. But that's all he played. So I just hope that we get better, bro. I just hope that we will. We will. Confident in that. Very excited about us and Genty. Very excited about us. Well, let me ask you this before we get out of here. What are you concerned the most about our team right now? Concerned the most? What we needed over the top? Because I got a guy that everybody's talking about, all of us talking about, that we can bring in. What's your most concern?
There's multiple concerns, but to try to narrow it down to one.
Tell me all of them. That's better.
Our guard play on our O line. I'm fine. I'm fine with Colton Miller. I'm fine with JPJ. I'm fine with Glaze at right tackle. But who's going to be our guards? My other concern is corner. Okay, who's outside of JB? Who's going to step up to be that person? I don't trust who we have in our slot right now. So corner is one. I think we'll be okay at linebacker with all the guys we bring in. What else? Right now, I think that's it.
Okay.
Safety, per se, because I don't and hear me out on this. I like Palomal, but I don't know if I completely trust him to be a full-time safety. So those are kind of the ones that let's kind of wait and see how it pans out. Yep. But the two bigger ones is O-line and corner.
The corner situation. If this does come into fruition, and now we signed our rookies. Our rookies are all signed, which is a good thing. We have 26, almost $27 million. We haven't signed Miller, and then if it does hit, it's not going to be the signing bonus. We're just going to probably just pay them off what they are for this year, and then extend them. And then that extension is going to hit next year, so it's going to be on next year's budget, really. But Jalen Ramsey is getting realized for the Raiders. Even I know what he said and all this stuff. Jalen Ramsey last year signed a 78 or something like almost $80 million contract, and he wants out of Miami. And so whoever gets him is gonna have to inherit that $29 million. We don't have enough to afford him now, but what do you think about that? You think that'll make a difference as far as your corner? Would that ease your mind a little bit with the corner situation?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah, because with that's one place I really don't have to worry about. Right? Jacorian Bennett, yeah, we like him, but is he that solid?
Yeah.
That's the question. Like we like the progression of Bennett. We like the flashes that we saw coming into this season, but is that somebody again that we trust to go out there and start for us and hold it down? You know what I'm saying? For 17 weeks. And then you obviously we have Stokes or whatever, but I think with Ramsey, I think with Ramsey there's flexibility because you could make him a corner or you could actually have him play safety.
Yeah, he could migrate into a safety.
He plays all of it.
He's that good. He's that good. Even now, he can play safety.
Hey, look, we talk about corner at slot corner. You put Ramsey in the slot.
Yeah.
What I've been like, because especially some of these, especially these high caliber wide receivers that actually do play slot, like like the Jamar Chases, I think Kupp still plays slot, right?
He can.
Cooper Kupp. Yeah. So you have those, hey, put Ramsey on him. That's your assignment.
I don't know why he got paid a lot of money, but we lost a good one in Hobbs, bro. Hobbs was
the injuries. That's kind of
we lost a good one in Hobbs. So when he was there, he held it down. But I understand why they didn't pay him. And Green Bay's gonna, if he does get injured like he did with us, they're gonna see that they overpaid for this guy. But if he can stay, that's a very physical division that he went to, almost as physical as ours. But
it's colder.
He needs to hope things better. I like Hobbs, but we lost a good one in him. I don't know if people appreciate him more, but for what he did for us, he held that down. Even though we got beat in the middle or whatever, that was just steam and probably Andy, those guys we played against, every tight end, we said every tight end got busy on us, but that's not solely Hobbs. He covers the slot guy. But I don't remember any slots getting busy on us. That's tight ends. So that's not usually his job. They're bigger guys. And I think we lost a good one. And we haven't got there yet. Mine, bro, is I'm concerned about Kuntz. So, I'm Kuntz. Okay. We don't have anybody behind him that can be Kuntz-like, but
right.
I hope that he pans out to be the man that we thought he is. Appreciate that he took that deal. He could have went anywhere else probably for more money, but he looked like he wanted to stay home and to give him a chance to. So yeah, I need a lot from Kuntz this year, a lot, because I don't want to be dependent on Tyree Wilson playing defensive end with this slow ass going through there and doing something. I want to keep him at defensive tackle. I think
that might be his opportunity. You know what I'm saying? To actually, make some money. We'll see.
He better work on his quickness. And get some moves in him. So that's what I think.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my bro, we're almost getting at 4 hours. I gotta go at 2:30 to go medicine time, knockout time. Yeah. So we'll put this at the end.
Is your medicine? Is it same time every day?
Yeah, same time every time. 2:30 is when I got to take my. This is be my third dose. I have 5 doses I take. So yeah, I got a little tackle box, bro. They give you this big old tackle box that you got to take. It's rejection, steroid, nutrition, something that make you go to the restroom and knockout punch at the end. I can't wait for that. That's at 8:30. By 9:30, I'm out, bro.
You sleep.
Yeah, I'm asleep. And I got to do it every day for the rest of my life, Twin. It's a blessing, bro. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. You could tell, Twin. I'm a different dude. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a different guy. I'm so blessed to have you. And then, like I was saying, it's my 6th month. It's been so long. You were here, and then the reason why I did this because, me and my wife, it's like a big. I got a call from my surgeon, my doctor. Congratulations on the 14th. You're getting 6 months, and your biopsy came out great. There's no sign of rejection. Just keep doing what you're doing, but don't do too much because I messed up and got myself a hernia, and then that's common. That's common in transplants, but
Yeah.
that's what I had the surgery to, about 3 weeks ago, and I'm still feeling it, Twine. It's hard for me to sit here and talk because I need to take some oxy sometimes or some Tylenol. I'll probably take some Tylenol, but that's part of my plan. It's so weird how they over the years how they're smart people. You know what I mean? They're smart people, and I'm blessed. And we're gonna just celebrate that. It's not really a big. I don't. It's all new to me, Twine. I've never been through a 6 month. Over a year. But you heard from Angelo. He's 2 years into his, and they're still concerned about him. And it's a big, life-changing surgery, and I'm glad to be around for it. I'm glad to still be talking to you, Twine, and just a privilege being out here and be. Right now, my old sick days, bro. I'll be not doing nothing, just laying around, bro. And I ain't doing that now. I ain't doing that. I'm running. I can't run around or drive yet, but it's just the process. You got to appreciate the process, Twan, because you don't want to mess up. You don't want to mess it up because it could be a detriment. You miss a pill. And if they see it on your blood, bro, if they see it in your blood, you're not doing this right. When did you take this pill? And my wife he took it at this time. Don't lie, because if you lie, they're gonna call you up and they're gonna know it because they know the levels that you're on.
Yeah.
They know what you're supposed to be at, and they take a pill out, they know where you're gonna be at. And then when did you take that pill? How long you been doing that? Don't do that again. And they come at you that way, bro. And just the concern, and you got to do it like this. You got to do it like that. And as time goes on, the pills come off, and that's what happens after your 6 months. I don't want to take all these pills, bro. These horse pills you got to take, bro. And then I don't like it. And then my mind's like, I don't want to take that. You have to, bro, or something's gonna happen. So it's just I appreciate it. I appreciate the 6 months, and it's been a long grind, real discipline. Teaches you discipline, to take care of yourself. But we're gonna celebrate that. I gotta tell the guys. I haven't even told the guys yet that I ain't gonna be around for a Wednesday show. But if you can, man, I'll tell Twine wants to get on with you guys. You can be on the Wednesday Raider Nation live show.
Hey, any time. I always want to be here for the brothers in the nation, and definitely you guys know I got love for you guys over there. You, Gabe, and Angelo. You know what I'm saying? So anytime you guys want me to come through, I'm always.
I'll let Lo know, but I'll let Lo. Lo's the one that does the reaching out, and Gabe. It's hard for. I don't want to miss it, but that's my 6 month, and it's very.
Health comes
first. They're gonna
man.
know that. Yeah, they're gonna know that, and I'm gonna say, hey man, I ain't gonna be able to make it, and I get pissed when they don't want to come on the show. So I gotta. Let's do a show. We're late. I'm that guy. We're late, man. We're 5 minutes. It's 7:05. Let's go like that. But it's hard for all of us to get together because our schedules are different. And then me and my old ass is just sitting around not doing nothing, just recovery. Yeah, it's different. Raider Legion, what's up, man? How you doing? I know you got a show coming up, bro. What's up, man? I'm gonna watch it. I'm always down with you, bro. Can't wait to meet you. Come with a stogie because I'm gonna have one for you. Go to Top Notch Vegas and come with a stogie because I'm into that shit now. I could do that. But Twine, man, much love, bro. I want to thank you. I've been showing your math out there, man. But tell everybody that's in my chat right now. Tell them what's up. And tell them all about you, man. What you got for us?
Yeah, man. Raider Twuan on YouTube. For those that don't know who I am, hi, I'm Raider Twuan. Come on over to YouTube. Get on Raider Twuan. Definitely, I will be coming at you guys during the off season. I kind of go at least once a week, if not twice a week, and then during the season, then you'll see me like 3 or 4 times a week. Giving you guys lives, videos, shorts, and all of that. The last live I did was I asked the question, "Are you down with IPP?" For those who don't know what IPP is, come on over to Raider Twuan, check out that live, and then you'll actually see who we got on the IPP. So I talked about all of that. So definitely, you do not want to miss that. So I give you guys a whole bunch of stuff. Just come over there, hit that like, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? And definitely support the Raider Nation, because again, all this stuff that I do, especially for me, all the stuff that I do, it goes back to you guys, and also it goes back to the Raider Nation. So, help your boy, what I'm saying, get a couple more Raider hats, what I'm saying, and hopefully I'll be able to get out to some of the Raider games this season to see you guys, definitely. So Raider Twuan on YouTube.
Yeah,
and also I'll say this too, because Gravy talked about it, is, at my channel, I'm an advocate for being an organ donor. So if you're interested in being an organ donor, that is in the description of my live. So if you go down into the description section, you'll see where you can look to be an organ donor. And I say this all the time: you're a blessing. Be a blessing to someone else.
And we want to talk about blessings. There's something that I want about this man. He didn't have to do it, but when I first went on a call for me to get a transplant, an offer, the way we call it in the transplant world, Twuan sent me a prayer and prayed for me. And he's never going to stop hearing this, but it's always on my mind. I'm always going to remember deep from my heart that Twuan is that type man. He said a prayer for me that I keep to this day and listen to on my phone. He didn't have to do that. I met Twuan once. I met his father. They came to Lowe's house and we watched the game there, got all pumped up. Makes a wonderful batch of macaroni and cheese. and they're great people. Now you know the type man Twuan is. He has a great father too. But he didn't have to do that. And I didn't know the impact of this. What Twuan and I are preaching about being a donor is very, very sincere. I've been through it. I'm visual evidence that it can happen to you and you can be blessed with it. Twuan is going through it. I know what he's going through, and you have to support. And if you're even got an appointment at the DMV, or even driving by a DMV, or having anything, go by there and ask the information. And all it is just a stamp on your ID. If you're renewing your license, just ask them that. You gotta be healthy. You're a healthy person and don't do a lot of things or anything like that. It's much appreciated. Give a life to somebody else that deserves it and needs it. It'll be something that you're not going to know about, but it's going to matter. And just having the pride and knowing that you're going to give life to somebody else, because I wouldn't have lasted a long time, Twuan, if I didn't get this. And you know that. I wouldn't have been around long. And I'm so blessed and happy that this gentleman did that for me, and I can't thank enough to the higher power that and to do it. And what Twuan did means so much to me that it'll never replace anything that anybody. That's the best thing that anyone has ever done with me. And he communicated with me when I was recovering right off the bat, and so did a lot of people I didn't know I made an impact on a lot of people with what I say about the Raiders, because most of the time this age is bad. What I say about the Raiders is not real good. If people have this about me that I don't love the Raiders, or I have this, I love the Raiders. That's why I talk about them, because I'm concerned with what they're doing. But on that serious note, it's what happened to me and what Twuan did for me is way, way, way more than the Raiders to me, and it affected me. And I tell Twuan every time I talk to him or see him that I tell him that. And then after this, we'll probably have a conversation about that or whatever. But everybody in the chat, listen to what Twuan said and be a donor. I don't have links for that or anything like that, but I'll make sure that I do. And just talking about it to let people aware that do that. It don't cost nothing. It's just
the links are actually in my chat. For those that want to, those also that want my IG. Again, Gravy talked about me praying for him.
Yeah.
I do that for everybody in the Raider Nation. So if you want me to pray for something that's going on in your life, hit me up on IG. Send me a DM, and I'll do the same for you. So yeah, that's what I'm here for. Twuan on IG is my IG. If you want to just type that in, but if you're on my channel, the link is also there too. If you want that.
I support that fully. I support Twine and whatever he does. So you guys get that link, spread it around, tell people what we told you. It doesn't cost anything. And really what Twine says, I always say all the time, what are you gonna do if something happens to you with the organs? When you die? What are you gonna do with that? Where does it go? And then think about that. You can help somebody else for that. And you're not gonna feel it. I know your soul will know that you have it. And then that's what the soul in me is with this guy, and I feel it. I feel different. I feel better than I did when I was in my 30s and 20s. And this guy gave me that, and I feel it, Twan, and I believe in that. That I got part of this guy in me that was motivated. He was like a motivated guy, passionate person, and I wasn't like that. I feel it. It might take medicine to keep it going in my body, but I'll tell you this: what was given to me, I appreciate so much, and I also appreciate what Twan sent me. He didn't have to do that, like I said, but he's that type man. It's not because we need organs or we needed organs. It's because he would have did that anyways.
Yeah,
and that's what I appreciate from you, bro. But I want to thank everybody that was in the chat, people that were listening. Hey, Coach Gravy won't be tomorrow because I explained what I had to do. But Thursday and Friday, Gravy's gonna have a show with us at 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock now my time. Great live, 4 hours in. It seemed like it was 2. So it's always wonderful. It's always wonderful to talk to you, bro. Always wonderful to get your Raider game. It's a blessing all the time. But Raider Nation, thank you for being here, man. Me and Twan, on behalf of Twan, we out.